All right. Okay, Mike is live. Testing 1 2 1 2. Hello, Michael Numbers. I see you in there in the room. Thank you for helping me with the chat. Always gotta chat. Always gotta check to make sure the chat is working. Always gotta make sure to check the mic levels is working, because even though I leave everything the same, sometimes problems occur. Let me just make sure. Got everything else I wanted to get all settled. Alrighty. WrestleMania 34. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Be Better Gamer. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you had a fun weekend. My weekend was very productive and busy, but did get to see, of course, NXT Takeover, New Orleans. Got to see, of course, WrestleMania 34, and I am excited to talk about it today. Probably we'll still be talking about it tomorrow. Probably we'll still be talking about it for the next week or so. WrestleMania is always a big deal. Fun thing about WrestleMania is always talking about the direction, they're going to be going with the storylines, how everything's going to hold up. Even tonight, tonight they can retcon so many things. WWE has been known to do that, where they just completely erase everything that was done on the pay-per-view before. Even WrestleMania. WrestleMania is no exception, but we will talk about WrestleMania as it stands. Now I remember where I was talking about WrestleMania 2000. I was at the Royal Rumble when I failed the Royal Rumble, so hopefully we can get through the Royal Rumble right away and not lose like I did at the end of the last stream. Michael Numbers, I hope you're having a good afternoon. WrestleMania was interesting to say the least. I do have to say, I did enjoy WrestleMania. The past few WrestleManias have been a little rough. I think the last WrestleMania I really enjoyed was actually WrestleMania 30. That one was really good, I thought. And I can't remember much of the other ones. WrestleMania, I did not like WrestleMania 33 last year. I remember that. I remember very clearly not liking WrestleMania 33. There was like one or two matches maybe I enjoyed. But I'm going to go ahead and pull up the past few WrestleManias just to remind myself which ones I did and did not like. Because I know I liked WrestleMania 30. That was the first WrestleMania I watched live in a very long time. I remember enjoying it. A lot of the WrestleManias, for a few years before that, a couple of WrestleManias before that I was watching after the fact. But, WrestleMania 30 I really did enjoy. WrestleMania 31 was okay. WrestleMania 31 was okay. I liked some moments, but I don't think it was enough to save it for me. WrestleMania 32, again, I liked a few things about it. That was when Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks had that really good match. And Chris Jericho took on AJ Styles. But yeah, WrestleMania 31, 32, and 33, I did really enjoy as a whole. I have to say, WrestleMania 34, I enjoyed as a whole. I liked it as a whole. Still don't know if I liked it more than WrestleMania 30. I'm still thinking about it. I might like it a little bit more. WrestleMania 30, I might not. I still don't know. It's tough when, we're less than 24 hours removed. I'm still letting it all settle in. Hold on, I gotta go let my dog out. She wants to go out. Of course, when I start streaming, you want to go out, right? Of course. Oh, the match started too. Look at that. Don't worry, Draws has it all under control. Wait, no, I guess not. But of course, big takeaways. All my predictions were kind of off. but I predict with my heart, like I said in my monthly update video where I gave my WrestleMania 34 predictions. I go with my heart. I don't go with my brain. If I go with my brain, I tend to just get too wrapped up in trying to predict where WWE is gonna go with their creative, And, like I said, leading up to WrestleMania 34, I felt like there was a lot that they needed to do to go out of their way to ruin things in terms of, the match results. And honestly, even though a lot of the predictions that I went with my heart didn't come true, I still wasn't like upset or angry at the outcomes of a lot of the matches where I was, wrong in my predictions, because I felt like a lot of the matches could have gone either way. That first, like the first Intercontinental Championship, the Triple Threat. I predicted Seth Rollins, but as I was telling my friend who was joining me watching, it's like any three of these guys could win and I could be okay. They would have to do something in the match that would make me not like the match. And there were some moments, we'll get to it, but the Daniel Bryan tag match I enjoyed, but I enjoyed the second half of it. I felt like, the whole him with the people, the medical doctors checking on him and stuff. I felt all that was unnecessary and just took up time. But it didn't ruin the match completely for me. It just took me out of the match for a little bit. So that's what I mean when like WWE can sometimes do things that can completely ruin a match. But and that's like a little bit of an example, but it didn't eventually ruin the match. And I also predicted, like a lot of people, that Daniel Bryan was going to be turning heel, and he didn't. And I wasn't upset that he didn't. I was surprised that he didn't. I'm interested to see what they'll do going forward with Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon's relationship specifically. I think I've talked about it in the past, with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. There's so many loopholes when it comes to, a loser leaves town match or a you're fired match. And it's like they can easily show up on Raw tonight and do something. They can easily show up under masks on SmackDown. They can easily have another match on SmackDown, so I never put too much weight in those stipulations. I knew Daniel Bryan had to win in some way, but with the heel turn, obviously that means maybe he wouldn't win. He would technically lose. So maybe that's why they didn't go in that direction. But still, like stuff like that, it's like, yeah, hey, all right, they went in a different direction. It's not terrible, and it still opens up a whole lot of possibilities. And that's how I felt about a lot of WrestleMania 34, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good place to be, because, again, my issue with WWE is that they tend to overcomplicate things. They tend to add a lot of unnecessary things, and even though there were a lot of moments last night where they did do that, it wasn't overwhelming as much as it has been in the past. And I felt like more positive outweighed more negatives in the event. Sachin, what's up? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. I guess we will see Owens and Zayn in mask form. Maybe, Michael Numbers. Maybe. Give me 1 second. I gotta let my dog back in because now she's... Alrighty, I am back. Maybe we will see Owens and Zayn in masks form. Maybe they'll just show up on Raw and they've just only been fired for SmackDown. Who knows? But see, with something like that, I just hope, and that means it'd be funny and cute and clever if they came back with the masks, but then I hope the feud just becomes them and Daniel Bryan. I hope Shane McMahon leaves the equation, because Shane McMahon has already had his fair share of getting involved physically with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and especially in that promo leading up to the match. I was really, a lot of the focus was on Shane McMahon and his involvement, and how like Daniel Bryan kind of got sort of put in the middle of it and became an unwilling, sort of like a an unwilling sort of participant in the feud. So I hope that if anything does keep going with them, it just keeps it with Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, because now especially Daniel Bryan is back to being an active wrestler. But, you know, like, again, easy out for something like this is just like put him on Raw. You know, put him on Raw and that's it. What a shocker. I was thinking about it. Yes, Brock Lesnar conquered Roman Reigns. That was, I think, one of the most surprising things they did, because I don't quite understand what it means for the future of not only Brock Lesnar but Roman Reigns. I hope we're not dragging out their story longer. I am honestly over with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar feuding. But I was actually kind of surprised, but I wasn't excited about the match. I wasn't looking forward to the match going into it. And even though it was a ending that came out of nowhere, it still didn't do enough to get me even more interested in the match. It just left me a little confused, and you know, I still think it should not have been the last match of the night. I was hoping it wouldn't be the last match of the night. I kind of knew it was going to be the last match of the night, but I was hoping they would go in a different direction. And I think it just proved that it did not deserve to be the last match of the night, despite all their best efforts. You're not doing good because Asuka lost. Man, that was probably the biggest shock for me, that Charlotte beat Asuka, but I wasn't upset about it. I wasn't upset about it because the match itself was really good. I hope that Asuka maybe stays on SmackDown and continues her feud with Charlotte, because I think they would have a great rivalry. Or maybe if she goes back to Raw in defeat, she can move on to challenge Nia Jax. And then maybe we can have Asuka Charlotte again one-on-one and sort of continue this feud of seeing who is the best woman in WWE. So as shocking as it was, I really enjoy that match. And again, like, you know, a small part of me was like, well, you know, Charlotte could win and I wouldn't be mad about it. And then when it actually did happen, I was like, oh, wow, that was unexpected. But again, I'm not mad about it. I love that match. That was probably one of my favorite matches of the night. Cena versus Taker was very disappointing. I agree, Sachin. I agree. Cena versus Taker was very disappointing. I was very disappointing. Again, all this build-up that wasn't entertaining. We talked about it. At length in a lot of the streams leading up to it, but the payoff wasn't there for me. It ended up being very formulaic and predictable. You know, we came up with so many wild and crazy ideas that they could have done, and yet they went with the whole, you know, even down to Elias coming out and playing a song. You know, I had company over and we were watching it together, and I wish I was recording myself. I was literally doing the segment almost minute by minute what was gonna happen, and you know, as they were doing it, as they were going on, my hopes of Taker showing up in a different form, my hopes of this feud being carried out in a different form was going away. I was surprised, not surprised. Again, it was sort of like the Asuka Charlotte thing. It's like there was a very good chance Taker could have won, but because I felt like they didn't do enough of the build up to that feud or to that match specifically, I don't know what direction they're going in with Taker winning. What does this mean? What does this mean for Taker winning? So obviously he's not retired now, right? Or is he? Was this his last match? Was this not his last match? It seems like it wasn't, because they kept saying Taker is back. And you know, I hope this does something more for Cena's character. I hope both of them don't disappear. Because I know Cena's schedule is apparently going to be really busy all the way up until SummerSlam potentially, and I just hope that it does something. I hope it does something for the both of them, because again, the build up was just very puzzling and not engaging for me, and then the match itself was very fast, very quick. It was just like an Undertaker squash match against Cena. It's like, okay, that's fine, but like, what's the end goal here? I don't feel like they really accomplished what they set out to accomplish. And I think that was a lot of people's reaction. It was cool to see The Undertaker. It was great to see, like you said, it was great to see how good shape he was in and how healthy he's looking. But that match didn't want me wanting more, honestly, from it. And I know they're going to do more with it, but I just don't know what they're going to do. They still have to win me over with that, which is a shame because, again, I had high expectations for that one, and I was kind of disappointed. This year's WrestleMania was very unpredictable. It was unpredictable, but it was unpredictable in a way where I felt like, again, it left more questions than answers. And I'm still not too certain that all the crazy, sort of swerves or match results that went a different way are gonna hold long, because WWE has a tendency to retcon a lot of stuff, and they'll do stuff for the WrestleMania moment, but then a lot of those things they do for the WrestleMania moment don't hold up within a week. Brock Lesnar could very well lose the title tonight on Raw. It's just like they just do weird stuff sometimes. So I'm still it'll take a few months before we can really say like, oh yeah, that was like unpredictable in a good way, or as opposed to like, oh, that was unpredictable in a very bad way. We think match of the night was Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. It was the best match. That was my favorite match of the night as well. I wasn't expecting it to be my favorite match, and I guess that's why it ended up being my favorite match. I love that match. I loved that match. Ronda Rousey looked great. They highlighted her attributes, and they hid her weaknesses really well. And by weaknesses, I just mean in terms of like, being in a WWE ring for the first time. There's a lot of pressure there. There's a lot of difference there than MMA. And they did a lot to make sure she looked great and like a perfect fit, which I think she is a perfect fit, but obviously, like, Ronda Rousey a year from now is not going to need help to look good in a match. She's definitely going to be able to carry matches all on her own. And I love the back and forth. I love all the tension between Ronda Rousey and Stephanie McMahon, and then Rousey getting her hands on Stephanie, Rousey getting her hands on Triple H. Kurt Angle played his role really well. I love that match. That was a fun match. Wrestling wise, it wasn't the best wrestled match. I think I'm gonna have to give that to Asuka and Charlotte, honestly. Even though we had AJ Styles and Nakamura, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But when I think like of WWE style matches, WrestleMania style matches, the Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle and Stephanie McMahon and Triple H had that big match feel, had that main event match feel, and they lived up to it. And it went in slightly different directions that I wasn't expecting, but in all the right forwarding directions. So I really liked it. It really, and again, with the storyline, it doesn't leave you questioning anything. It doesn't leave you questioning where it's going to go. You kind of have an idea. You kind of, that, all right, Stephanie is still going to probably want to seek revenge and retribution. But there's nothing that was done that, like, sort of, like, overcomplicated that scenario. It was done very effectively, very simple, and that's one of the things I really appreciated about it. Brock Lesnar winning over Reigns was more shocking than Brock Lesnar breaking Undertaker's streak. I don't know. I think Undertaker's streak losing was a little bit more shocking. Maybe that's because I'm just more bemused about the whole Brock Lesnar-Roman Reigns feud. The only thing that I thought was shocking about the Roman Reigns-Lesnar feud, to be honest, was the fact that by Lesnar meaning, it means it's like, oh, so WWE still thinks Brock Lesnar-Roman Reigns as a feud works, huh? Okay, I guess, that's, but I guess also that's not shocking either. So, I don't know, I was very bemused by that. In your opinion, who should beat Brock Lesnar? I think it's Finn Balor or Daniel Bryan. Those are two great choices. Daniel Bryan is on SmackDown, so they would have to move him to Raw if they want to keep the whole brand split thing going. I I would love Demon Balor to once again regain the title, but I just don't think character-wise he is there yet. You know, like, I mean, like, if tomorrow they wanted to put the belt on Balor, I would have no problem, honestly. But, like, I just would love to see a Finn Balor Brock Lesnar clash. I think a lot more has to be done to make it exciting. You know, in context wise, you can't just have Balor out of the blue beat him. Even though I'm ready for Lesnar to drop the title to someone, anyone. And at this time, you know, and like, I was hoping Lesnar would lose so we wouldn't get into this situation, honestly. Like, it was like, I was okay with WWE thinking, like, okay, now they want, you know, they want Roman Reigns to take the title off of him. Okay, well, fine, whatever. At least Roman Reigns can have feuds with other people, you know, every week. But now that he's there, you know, they spent all this time having Lesnar beat so many other people. You know, and again, it kind of like retcons everything that's been happening before if one of those other people comes back to beat him. So it makes it weird if you have Strowman take the title off of him. It makes it weird if you have Samoa Joe. Even though, like, again, those are both guys I would not mind beating Lesnar. There's so many people I wouldn't mind beating Lesnar. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like, to me, Lesnar was the guy who broke Taker's streak. You know, that was the big thing. When he first came back, he lost to Cena. But after that, he beat Cena. He broke Undertaker's streak. You know, so it's like, I was always expecting, like, when Lesnar did finally lose, it was the transition out of the whole, you know, Lesnar coming back and dominating era and into someone else's sort of, like, era. And I thought that, I guess they were going with Roman Reigns. They were so determined. But now they are or aren't, question mark, and I'm still confused on that. And it's like, okay, well, are they giving up on Roman, or are they just continuing it further, you know? And it's just, it's weird. It's a weird situation. And it's like, well, now, like, I don't know if I want to see anyone against Lesnar until I'm sure that we're just not rebuilding back up to Roman Reigns again. Because even though as crazy as that sounds, it kind of seems like that's what they might do right now, which doesn't make any sense. You know, yeah, I don't know. Best case, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who, like, I mean, it'd be great. Demon Balor's the only one he hasn't faced, but Demon Balor needs to start going on a tear. You know, Demon Balor needs to start getting back to the hype and the excitement that he was generating when he was in NXT and when he first came up on the roster right before he got hurt, to see him go through Lesnar. So yeah, I don't know, but I guess Demon Balor would be the strong one, but right now I'm just kind of over Lesnar. Like, I was hoping he would lose just so we wouldn't have to, like, think about who he's gonna fight again, and it's just like, oh, here we go. Basically, the Lesnar-Rollins match was a redo of the first one. I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. It was kind of a redo. I always envisioned, you know, after that whole thing went down with Rollins interfering, that they were going to build up to, like, sort of like a Shield versus Lesnar four-way. You know, you were going to have Rollins, Lesnar, Dean Ambrose, and Reigns in a four-way dance at Mania, right the year after that. But then, you know, those plans kind of got scrapped because Rollins got injured, and then we ended up getting Lesnar and Ambrose and Triple H and Reigns. So, you know, but I always thought the Lesnar saga was gonna culminate in some way with the Shield. The Shield getting involved in some way, and then maybe for like that one night in this four-way dance, I imagined maybe, you know, the Shield worked together after being, you know, at odds with each other for a whole year. They would band together one night to take the title off of Lesnar, and then one of them would become champion. And we're so far removed from that now. It's like, you know, I almost thought, like, again, I was predicting the whole time, like, well, maybe Ambrose will come back and help Reigns, and then Rollins would run out, and they'd come together and beat up Reigns. And there's still time to do that. They could still very well do that. Because again, I could see this still for some reason continuing the Reigns Lesnar saga, and since Reigns couldn't do it on his own, getting back with the Shield, when Ambrose returns, and then the Shield combining their forces to take down Lesnar. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Nakamura over AJ Styles was 20 minutes. You think the story was great, how they did the knee and back, but it should have been a 30-minute match. You know, I kind of felt that. The match was just starting to get going, even though it already had been like over 20 minutes. And it almost ended up out of the blue and kind of quickly. But considering that Naka turned heel at the end, that was enough for me to say, oh, okay, like, this is gonna keep going. So they kind of, like, I wouldn't say held back, but they kind of didn't, they didn't pull out all the stops, because we're gonna get more Nakamura and AJ, which is great. I mean, we were gonna get more Nakamura and AJ anyway, obviously, but I kind of liked, again, it was different from what I expected and predicted, but I kind of liked that direction. And I love Nakamura as a heel. He was great in Japan as a heel. He has great heel tendencies even when he's a babyface. So I think him being a heel fits a lot more in WWE, because AJ is such a good baby face to bounce off of. And there's so many other cool baby faces he can bounce off. Again, Nakamura and Daniel Bryan, I think, is going to be a match to remember when they do finally get at it. And I think AJ Styles Nakamura 2 is probably going to be better than AJ Styles and Nakamura 1. I think AJ Styles and Nakamura 3 is probably going to be better than the both of them. So I'm excited to see the direction it goes. And what a great heel turn at the end. Will Bobby Lashley appear on Raw to challenge Brock Lesnar? Hey, maybe. That would be fun. Yeah, give it to Lashley. Give it to anyone. Can you tell I'm over Lesnar? I'm over Lesnar. Nicholas, the youngest champion in WWE history. That was definitely an eye roll moment, but I do have to say it was an eye roll moment for me that I laughed and I had a big smile on my face, and quite the opposite of the Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman was like an eye roll moment and I just groaned, but Nicholas, I laughed, I chuckled, I smiled, but in the back of my mind, I was just like, poor Raw tag team division. There's a 10-year-old who's champion with Braun Strowman. Unless WWE is playing the long game, because apparently the kid is referee, I think Mike Cohn is his name, is his son. And he's the son of one of the refs in WWE. So unless they're playing the long game, this kid's going to eventually be a wrestler because his dad's the ref and he's, already involved with the business somehow. And then in like 15 years, he's taken under Braun Strowman's wing, but then he turns on his mentor. And then they could always go back to when he first shared the ring with him at WrestleMania. So if WWE's playing the very, very long game, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But, it was what it was. It was definitely one of those family-friendly WrestleMania moments. That at the end of the day isn't really going to have any long-term negative effects or anything like that. So it was cute. I'm wondering how they're going to write themselves out of it today, because again, WWE retcons stuff very quickly, and you can't have Braun Strowman and a 10-year-old kid be champion for longer than a day. So I'm interested to see how they do that. What tag team comes in and just You know, you could have War Machine show up and just completely wipe out Braun Strowman. But I think War Machine is going to NXT. I think that was confirmed that they're going to NXT. I think they are, yeah, because their first match is, I think, like this week or something, like on NXT. Rollins versus Balor versus Miz was very good. Yes, it was. I enjoyed that as well. I feel like everyone forgot about that match already. Again, this is why it's like always like, you know, you got to let it settle. You got to let it think about it, because it was the first match of a very long night. I mean, technically it wasn't if we're counting the pre-show matches. But yeah, that match was really good. They came out, had a lot of energy, a lot of intensity, a lot of great false finishes. And I loved Balor's entrance with his Unity sort of symbol. And the rainbow flag colors on his and you know, they're really promoting that shirt. I really love that. But I really loved you know, Seth Rollins is you know, his White Walker, you know, eyes. That was really cool. You know, the Game of Thrones sort of inspired entrance with the White Walkers. And also the Miz's outfit was really cool. Yeah, that was like a really strong opener. Really fun match. Excited to see, you know, the feud continue. Again, I hope Miz goes home for a little bit. He just had a baby born, so hopefully he goes home and gets to spend some time with his wife and his newborn kid. You know, those are the most important weeks and months when you first have a kid. And then when he comes back, he can chase to tie for the record with Chris Jericho for most Intercontinental reigns. If he decides to go, we might get The Miz come back and challenge Brock Lesnar. How crazy would that be? What kind of world would we be living in if Miz and Brock Lesnar becomes one of the most exciting things that WWE can do right now? Yeah, I don't think Lashley coming right in to change Lesnar is gonna actually happen. It's just kind of funny to entertain. But yeah, I definitely do think someone who's gonna carry the torch for a little bit in WWE should get the title off of Lesnar. You know, who's to say they're gonna have as long of a run as Lesnar, but definitely someone that's gonna be there within the next few years. Wow, Draws just took out Albert, his own partner. We'll see. You think Authors of Pain will beat Braun Strowman? That's a good choice. Yes, I totally forgot about Authors of Pain, even though they were in the NXT Takeover match, and that NXT Takeover match was pretty good. That makes a lot of sense. Authors of Pain coming in, attacking Braun Strowman. I mean, it's clear that they want Braun Strowman to be a babyface. You don't have him go into a crowd and choose a 10-year-old kid as your tag team partner and not become a huge babyface out of it. It's a very interesting and unique babyface turn, which is, again, why I wasn't so soured on the event, how it was played out. I was just soured on the whole tag team division. But yeah, if it leads to Authors of Pain showing up and giving the tag team division the shot in the arm it needs, because they can be a great foil for Strowman, yeah, let's do it. I wouldn't mind. That'd be great. I think Authors of Pain are definitely coming up. What about the Nia Jax Alexa Bliss match? I really enjoyed that match. It got more time than the SmackDown tag team match, which you know, I'm saying that because I was very disappointed that the SmackDown tag team match was so short. I know those three are capable to do a lot if given a lot of time. And I hope that in the next few months we see them do that. But I really liked the Nia Jax Alexa Bliss match. I love the time that they were given to tell their story. I thought Nia Jax looked great. You know, she looked very dominant. And I loved how Alexa Bliss was working like the eye and, you know, the legs as much as she could. I thought it was really solid. You know, I thought it was really solid. Obviously, the feud's going to continue with them. So it'll be interesting to see all the different ways they can do that match, because I think they were very creative yesterday with the match, and it was very entertaining, and I liked it. It was in a little bit of a rough spot. I think the crowd was a little down for it, energy-wise, but I think position-wise, it was just in a rough spot on the card. But I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's a lot easier to watch something at home and not be as burnt out, as opposed to when you're in the audience, with 70,000 other people and you're cheering nonstop. Like, you're just gonna get burnt out on some matches, and unfortunately, it looked like the crowd was a little burnt out when that match was happening. But it was a solid match, I thought. You want to see Roman lose again? Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully, hopefully it's not just a thing to, like, have him come back and win, because it's so tiring. It's so tiring. It's so forced. Yeah, the SmackDown match, the New Day and Usos, I thought they were going to tear the house down, and then, like, right when they just got, doing a few things, the match was over. And I was, I'm happy the Bludgeon Brothers won. Again, that was a match that I predicted the New Day, but, again, it could have gone in any direction, and I would have been okay with it. But, yeah, it was very short. Again, WWE, man, they just don't care about their tag team division. Like, and it's been like that for a long time. It's nothing new. It just disappoints me. I'm very sensitive to it because I love tag team wrestling. I love tag team wrestling. A lot of my memories growing up watching wrestling was watching a lot of great tag teams, and especially the Attitude Era. Yeah, you had The Rock, you had Austin, you had Triple H and Mankind and Undertaker, but you also had the Hardys and Edge and Christian and the Dudleys and so many other cool tag teams around the time. And I also kind of associate tag teams with factions. I mean, look at the Undisputed Era at NXT Takeover. Like, it was their night. It was Adam Cole winning the North American Championship, and then in the tag team match, him and Kyle O'Reilly winning, because now Roddy Strong is with them, and it's like, I group tag teams with factions almost, because usually you'll get a lot of tag team matches with factions. So I just love that. I just love that stuff. There's so many cool stories you can tell with tag teams. Obviously outside of, WWE, there's so many great tag teams that exist. We just got the reunion of the Golden Lovers. The Young Bucks has probably been one of the best tag teams in the past few years. There's just so many great tag team wrestling moments and tag teams, and WWE has just been so, like, it's been so down on its list of importance, I feel like, and it just disappoints me a little bit. Because for the past year, the Usos and the New Day have been, like, tearing it down and stealing the show, and then, like, they don't get their moment to shine at WrestleMania. And you just know that in the next few pay-per-views they're gonna do this match again with the three of them, or they're gonna do 2 and 2, maybe the Usos against the Bludgeon Brothers, and they're gonna tear it down, because they tore it down years ago when the Usos and the Wyatt family were going at it, and the New Day and the Usos and the Wyatt family were going at it. So it's like, tag team wrestling, man, WWE, they just don't give it its time and its respect I think it deserves. That's why they have a 10-year-old as one of the tag team champions. The next one is the Greatest Royal Rumble. Yeah, that's gonna be their live event over in Saudi Arabia, and they're going all out with that event. They're doing the Greatest Royal Rumble, which is really cool. I think it's something that WWE doesn't do a whole lot. They don't, and it's something they're starting to do, I guess, because they have the network, so they're able to broadcast these shows in other countries. They only go to these other countries once every year, or maybe once every few years. And I don't believe, if they have been to Saudi Arabia, I don't believe they've been there in a very long time. And it's crazy how like stacked. You know, they're making it for the fans over there, because you know, again, when WWE travels to different countries, they know, like, you know, since we're not here a lot, we're gonna pull out all the stops. We're gonna make sure they see the big stars, because who knows when we'll be back. You know, under what conditions we'll be back. So, you know, they usually always go all out, and they're really going all out. And again, I think they do now even more so because of the network, and they could show it on the network. So it's gonna be kind of cool to see that. It's gonna be kind of cool to see the audience of Saudi Arabia, see how the fans react. And, you know, I love it when they broadcast their stuff, international stuff, on the network. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm wondering if it's gonna have any. They seem to be treating it, you know, they announced it on the network. They seem to be treating it like there's so many titles on the line. They seem to be treating it like an actual event that's going to have some, you know, long-term, you know, or maybe short-term, what's the word? You know, some sort of effect coming from the event is gonna occur after that. Whether it's a title change or beginning of a new challenger or of a feud coming from the Rumble, like if whoever wins the Rumble, do they get a title shot? You know, is that what's gonna happen? Just like the regular Royal Rumble, who knows? But 50 people, that's a lot, man. That's a lot. Yeah, it should be interesting. I think Backlash is after the Greatest Royal Rumble. I don't think the Greatest Royal Rumble is technically a pay-per-view. I think the Greatest Royal Rumble is just a live event that they're turning into like a big event you can watch on the network. It much like how when you know, they did their Japan event, much how when they did the UK tournament. I think that's what it is. I don't think it's technically like one of their pay-per-views. They're just turning it into a big live event that, you know, is going to have some sort of implications on the current WWE storylines, which is rare. You don't see that. But then again, when they went to Japan, they did, you know, they did a title change with the NXT Championship, you know, when Finn Balor beat Kevin Owens. So, you know, they might do the same. That'd be interesting if that's where Roman Reigns wins the title. Yeah, definitely anything's better than Great Balls of Fire. Anything's greater than Great Balls of Fire. Well, did you see, speaking of the King of the Ring, I mean, I'm always talking about them I'm always saying they should revive the King of the Ring. But if you notice, you know, they're doing the Mae Young Classic again this year. But they also announced very subtly in their package of all the upcoming stuff coming to the network this year that they're doing another UK tournament, but they called it the King of the Ring UK tournament. So that's very interesting that they're calling it the King of the Ring UK tournament. I wonder why that is. You know, obviously, if it's going to be another UK tournament broadcast over there in the UK, which they already said it was, are you only going to limit it to UK wrestlers? Or are they going to have other non-UK wrestlers that are on the WWE roster join in? Are they going to have, you know, are they going to do it like the Cruiserweight Classic where they invite people who aren't part of the roster or who aren't under developmental contracts, you know, and have them compete in the tournament because they are giving it that King of the Ring moniker. So so it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that title, you know, with the King of the Ring. When you put the King of the Ring name, for me, it just, you know, it brings back so many memories of the actual King of the Ring. And the past few King of the Ring revivals haven't really ever lived up to the former glory days, if you will. So it's going to be interesting. I noticed it. They said King of the Ring UK tournament, so I just wonder what that means in terms of the legacy of the King of the Ring, and also, you know, the most recent UK tournament, how they're going to combine the two, and what's going to be the fallout from that. Hiroshi Tanahashi call. I'm still working on it. Again, I'm aiming for this week. I will probably get it out this week. You know, I'm gonna also be getting out. I'm gonna be continuing the women's championship Let's Plays. China's next. I gotta do that one, and I'm gonna get my Tanahashi call. Hopefully, I can get my Daniel Bryan call. So all three of those things I'm currently working on, and I'm trying to get out this week. I feel good. I feel confident that I'll get it out this week. But you know, I paused my Tanahashi call because I started working on other stuff that's like sort of WrestleMania related that I was trying to finish before WrestleMania but couldn't. But I guess I'll just have to put it in this week. You know, better late than never. Because, you know, again, WrestleMania is always going to come back around. So even though I couldn't quite get stuff up that I wanted to for WrestleMania weekend, I can still get it up after the fact. It's okay. I'm not too worried about it. And Godfather, he is just destroying me right now with his DVDs. And I am just... Now, Big Show and Cactus Jack are coming to my aid. It's great. When Daniel Bryan drop-kicked Sami Zayn, you thought his head was hurt. And then he did the kip up. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool moment. I mean, we're always going to be worrying about Daniel Bryan's safety now, aren't we? You know, I mean, we technically should be worrying about everyone's safety in the ring. But with Daniel Bryan, is that emotional connection we have with him. We're always going to be looking at that. You know, it almost kind of reminds me of when, you know, back in the day, they did that with Shawn Michaels. You know, they made a whole big deal about when he got a concussion, and you know, then like Owen Hart hit him with an enziguri and knocked him out and stuff like that. And so then every match after that, it was always like any little thing, any sort of impact to the head, just completely you would just make you pay more attention. And you know, I think Daniel Bryan is a very smart wrestler, and he's gonna use that to his advantage, and he already was. Even with that little moment yesterday with the kip up, that was him using it to his advantage. You know, he's very smart wrestler, knows how to tell a great story in the ring, and yeah, I'm so like you. I'm so excited he's back. I'm so excited he didn't do a flying headbutt either. And if you also notice, at the spot where he usually does his suicide dive outside, he did a regular baseball slide instead. And again, like, I don't think it took anything away from his offense. His offense was still great, still crisp. There's still a lot of things he can do. And, you know, even last night we saw it. It's like he did the run, and I forgot who it was, if it was Kevin Owens. I think it might have been Kevin Owens outside, and it was like, uh-oh, he's going to do a suicide dive. And he just did a baseball slide and just kept going, and then he went down and he did the flying knee. And that was great, man. I love it. I'm glad he is switching up his style. He's got to be more safe now. And it's probably a decision that he came with WWE in order for WWE to make sure that, you know, if you're gonna stay with us, you can't be doing any crazy stuff. Because I do believe they do want to keep him healthy for as long as possible. You know, and yeah, it's just exciting. He looked great. He looked like he hadn't lost a step. For someone who hasn't wrestled in like 2 years, he looked fantastic. And I'm excited. I think he can help carry SmackDown and you know, bring back a lot of the excitement that he was generating right before he left. That no one's really been able to replace since he's gone in a way, you know. As great as a lot of the wrestlers have come in the time that Daniel Bryan has been gone, I just feel like there's just certain excitement that he brings to his matches, the energy he carries with him in the ring that just, you know, we don't really have. And we got heel Nakamura running around. We got AJ Styles, you know, and Bryan's got history with AJ Styles. He's fought him in the past, back in the day, but, you know, he's never faced Nakamura. You know, and there's also a lot of guys like, you know, call up Kenta, call up Hideo Itami and Daniel Bryan. Oh my goodness. Let's get that going again. let's have Daniel Bryan work with a lot of these people that he has sort of histories with, and yeah, usher in a great new age of wrestling in WWE, because they have a great group right now that they can do it with, especially with Daniel Bryan. I feel like Daniel Bryan is the glue that's gonna hold everything together as long as he stays healthy. I think he's gonna hold everything together and really help transition everyone to be the big stars they need to be. But I also see another world title run for Daniel Bryan probably relatively soon, which would be cool. So Shamrock got right back up after I eliminated him. So that means Mark Henry's the last one coming in. Let's not blow this. Let's not blow this. I'm a little nervous. Hate when you get this far. It's so easy to just lose it. Daniel Bryan is very over. Yes, he is. The crowd was super into him coming back. Yeah, I mean, Daniel Bryan has spoken previously about wanting to face Brock Lesnar. So who knows? Maybe they will somehow make that happen. Obviously, Daniel Bryan right now is on SmackDown. And Brock Lesnar is the Universal Champion. But, again, WWE, they can change it in a second. They can change it in a second and have Daniel Bryan go on Raw or switch the championships. Have the Universal Championship on SmackDown all of a sudden. So who knows? Anything's possible. Roman Reigns turning heel. I don't know. Again, it's the kind of thing. It's like it might be too little, too late on that. It might be too little, too late. I think the only safe spot right now that I see Roman Reigns being in with the fans is with the Shield. Because when the Shield had reunited, he was still kind of getting a little bit of boos, but, the boos weren't as heavy, as intense as they were because it was like, all right, we like the Shield. So, and again, Roman Reigns as a heel, what does it accomplish now? What is it? Because then it'll still be like we really don't want to see him, and it won't be like him getting over with the fans. It'll just be them embracing the fans booing him, and So I don't know. Again, I feel like they really missed the boat with what they could do with Roman Reigns and Lesnar for the past few years, and it's getting tiring. I'm so what's the word? Disenchanted with everything with Reigns and Lesnar that it's frustrating to think about, because when you think about it, you don't think about like the characters, you don't think about the wrestlers, you think about like what's WWE trying to do, and I hate that. I hate when it's like trying to figure out what crazy scenarios Vince McMahon or whoever has in their mind, what surprises they're trying to have in store and what directions they're trying to go in. And it's like, I like it when we think about stuff that is happening because of the existing storylines. And, look at the problems we run into when we try to predict WWE, what they're doing, the direction they're going in. Just Cena Taker is like a perfect example, like a recent example. So we'll see. First they attack me, and then now Kane wants me to help him. Come on, Kane, make up your mind. Then he grabs me. Yeah, I think we will get new GMs. Obviously, with Kurt Angle and helping Ronda Rousey win. I think that's an easy way for Stephanie McMahon to get her payback. You might have beat me at WrestleMania, but you know what, Kurt? You're fired. And then, I guess Kurt Angle will just be active wrestler Kurt Angle. Oh, man, I'm with Kane. I'm kind of nervous here. All right. This is okay. This is okay. If I can wear him down a little bit and just find a good opportunity to get him out. There we go. Boom. Yes. Eliminating Kane. Didn't Austin eliminate Kane 1 year to win a Rumble? I feel like that's a thing that actually happened. Or was it The Rock? I mean, they're definitely going to have to change the GM situation over on SmackDown, with Daniel Bryan being an active wrestler. Shane McMahon already saying he wanted to step away. And honestly, like a reset of the GMs every year isn't a bad thing. You know, if they switch it, Jeff Jarrett as GM. Wow, I didn't even think of that. Jeff Jarrett as GM. That'd be kind of interesting, especially with his history with a lot of those guys, AJ Styles and stuff like that. Yeah, Bobby Roode, all the Impact Wrestling people. That'd be really interesting. I didn't think of that. You know, I think Jeff Jarrett would be better suited to a role like that. Honestly, that would be, you know, that'd be actually kind of cool. We see a similar situation with Naito and Roman Reigns. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think the damage is too deep for Roman. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But with Naito, it was the kind of thing where it's like they gave him the chance and like just the stars weren't aligned for him at that moment. So then they just backed away. The difference between Naito and Roman Reigns is that the company backed away with Naito because they knew when they tried to do it with him the first time around, it didn't work. And then they let it happen sort of on its own. And a lot of that had to do with Naito himself, reinventing himself, doing something different, coming up with new ideas. And that's when, you know, he joined the Los Ingobernables and turned heel. And it was a slow build even after that. It was a slow build after that where it was him forming his stable. You know, they weren't right away this dominant group. They weren't right away this group that was beating all the top people. And, you know, but eventually he started, you know, and then he was being booed and everything like that because he was really this really heelish character. But then he started winning it over because they started talking about how the fans weren't really rejecting him and now they're kind of liking him. And it all kind of happened on its own organically. The difference with Roman Reigns is that it's been very clear that the Roman Reigns hasn't been embraced by the fans, yet they keep doing it. Even last night, and this is why I say like I'm so over it, is because last night they were still trying to get Roman over. Even with Roman losing, it wasn't like them saying like, oh yeah, Brock Lesnar beat Roman and we're no longer going with Roman. It was done in a way where it's like they wanted you to empathize with Roman. They wanted you to have sympathy for him because he, you know, even though he took like 5 F5s, but he still couldn't get it done. And he was bleeding, and Lesnar the monster, you know, and it's like that warrior struggle where it's like, you know, the good guy is always chasing to beat the heel, and it's like, you know, this was something that Roman thought he would be able because he worked so hard for, and you know, the Rollins and everything that happened before, you know, was a lot different, but now it's like one-on-one, he had a chance to stop Lesnar and he couldn't. So that should make you want to cheer for him more, you know, and it's like, no, stop it. Like, we're over this. Like, the fans were so over it as soon as the match started. And it's just, they keep, and that's the difference between Reigns and Naito is that, you know, Naito failed and then New Japan backed away. And then they came back to it when it was ready. Roman Reigns didn't work out, but they kept doing it. And when you do that, you create burnout. Because you're not giving it room to, you know, happen on its own organically. You're just trying to force it down everyone's throat. And eventually, you know, yeah, okay, you might be able to force it down and it might work, but a lot of times there's going to be a lot of pushback, and there's still pushback. And even turning Roman heel right now, I just think it wouldn't work. It'd still be like, ugh, whatever. Because the whole point of it is that Roman's been in the spotlight when people didn't want to see him in the spotlight. So even if you turn him heel now, he'll still be in the spotlight. And that's why I say, like, I feel like he's the safest if they stay with the Shield. If Ambrose comes back and they stay with the Shield, because then the Shield becomes the spotlight and it doesn't become just all about Roman Reigns, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's a big difference between the story of him and Naito, and a lot of that has to do with the creative. You know, a lot of that has to do with the creative. Just turning him heel it isn't going to be the answer for the solutions. Turning him heel in the beginning would have been right because it was the right moment to say, oh, this babyface thing isn't working out. Okay, well, let's just turn him heel real quick and then come back to the babyface. Whereas now, turning him heel is just like, whatever. We just don't want to see him anymore. We just don't want to see him. You know, I think at this point, if they do want to do anything, they need to totally reinvent the Roman Reigns character. And I don't know how you would do that. It's for more creative minds than me to figure out. Because right now, I think they just dug themselves into a hole that's going to take a lot of creative thinking to get out of. And the way WWE's been handling stuff, I don't know if they have anyone capable of doing that. But I hope they do. I hope they do. I always have hope they can turn it around. Because, again, I like Roman Reigns, like, as a performer. He's not the greatest, but I like him. And I think there's still an upside to him that they're just not capitalizing on. And I hope that they eventually can one day. Because I think he works well with a lot of people on the roster. Because I've seen him had good matches with people. I've seen him have good matches with Rollins and even Daniel Bryan. And, you know, it's like Bray Wyatt. Like, I've seen him had good matches with people. But, you know, he's just not... I don't know. They're just messing it up with him, man. They're just messing it up. And it's kind of annoying. Look at that counter to the Big Show. Oh, man, that was beautiful. Love that. I love it when I do that counter. Oh, look at that. I think Roman Reigns has the potential to live up to, you know, what The Rock and Rikishi has done. But he's just, again, I agree. It's just character and storyline and they just been, you know, again, that's WWE's issue. They take things that are good and they just somehow mess them up, you know? And it's just like, why? You're just trying too much. You're trying to do too much. Yeah, but it's like Roman failing is the trap. Roman failing, for people to care about Roman failing and then turning heel, then, you know, like, that means you would have to, like, care that he failed. So if Roman's like, you know, I failed, I'm going to turn heel now, then he just comes off as a jerk. But he's still involved in the title picture. And then it's like, well, then who are we going to root for against Roman Reigns? Lesnar? Like, people want to see the title off of Lesnar also. So it's just, I don't see it being a thing where fans will embrace him right away, like they maybe would have a couple of years ago if he was heel, because now it's just kind of thing where it's just become kind of tired. You know, so I don't know. I could be wrong, you know, and, you know, but judging, the fans were so ready to crap on that match. They didn't even give it a second. Like, in the first opening minutes, they were just bad-mouthing the match. They were, you know, apparently the beach balls came out only at that match. You know, the fans were ready to just dump on that match. And that is a telltale sign that it's going to be very hard to save it. You got to just scrap it and move on. But WWE is stubborn. They have been stubborn with Roman Reigns. And I don't see it happening. And honestly, like, I don't see a Roman Reigns heel turn existing. I don't see a Roman Reigns heel turn existing because it just seems like Vince McMahon or whoever, the powers that be, whoever, you know, but I think it's Vince McMahon and a lot of people, you know, Jericho went on his podcast the other day and went in a little bit to the Roman Reigns situation where, you know, he sort of said the same thing, you know, where Vince McMahon's vision of Roman Reigns is as a baby face, and that's what he's gonna do. You know, it's the same thing with Cena. It's like Vince McMahon's vision of Cena is a baby face, so he's not gonna change Cena to heel because that's his vision. If Vince McMahon decides one day, like, oh, okay, yeah, you know what, I think Roman Reigns can make a good babyface, I think he would have done it by now. But, you know, even though the fans have been very clear about this is not the direction we want to see Roman Reigns, he's just been so steadfast. You know, the Roman Reigns character has been so steadfast and stuck in its ways that the fans are rejecting, that this just didn't give me any sort of, you know, telltale signs that they're going to do anything different. You know, and especially with the way they worked out that match last night, you know, I think that was, again, another attempt to have the fans be won over. You know, after the credits, you know, Roman Reigns walking to the ring, the cameras following him. You know, this was after they showed sort of all of the, like, the highlights of WrestleMania. And it already technically had gone off the air, quote unquote. And then the camera stayed on Roman Reigns. You saw him walk over to his family. Everyone was looking sad that he lost. And he's walking up slowly up the ramp, you know, quiet. And they play his music. And no reaction. Everyone's leaving. Everyone's leaving the arena. No one's staying to watch Roman Reigns do this sad walk up the stage. There's just no investment. There's no investment. And if Roman Reigns came out tomorrow and attacked, I don't know, you know, Braun Strowman and beat up Braun Strowman, and, you know, that would just make everyone else more over than him. That would just make Braun Strowman more over than him. And to see him win against people, you're not fooling anyone. It's the same old, just with a different coat of paint. It's all about context, and it's all about timing. And right now, the timing is bad to turn him as a heel. You know, and it's weird to think about that, but I really do think, like, the timing is bad to turn him heel now. The timing was a lot better a couple of years ago. Now it'd be kind of a case of too little, too late. You know. And you know, and that was also kind of the thing with the Cena Undertaker thing. Like, right in the moment, it was a little too late to have this thing happen, because the build up to it was kind of lame, and then the ending happened and just left you with more questions than answers. And, like, that to me is like too little too late. You guys wasted so much time. You know. Universal title picture is very confusing. I agree. It's very confusing. But but again, I don't think they put as much investment in championships as they used to. I think that's something that has, you know, every now and then they decide to, like, oh yeah, we're gonna make this important because it's for the championship. But again, I think a lot of it has to do with as a background prop. New Japan is ahead because they have Okada, the true ace. Okada's special, man. I mean, I think that's what WWE has been searching for. They've been searching for someone who can deliver in those main event moments. But again, I don't think any of the blame really is on the people. Like, I think Roman Reigns is capable of main event moments, but you're putting him in situations to fail, storyline-wise, character-wise. You know, you look at the booking of Okada. If Okada was losing every other match, or, you know, if Okada was losing in all the wrong moments, he wouldn't be a big deal. But they were very careful of when he won, when he lost, and when he had that feud with Tanahashi, they were very smart about how they brought him in to sort of be the next person after Tanahashi. Yeah, they had him beat Tanahashi first day in, and it was a surprise. But then after that, Tanahashi had his number, and, you know, the feud kept going, and Okada would lose, but it was laying the groundwork, it was laying the foundation. And then flash forward to here we are now, and now Tanahashi is challenging Okada to tie for the championship. Like, it's all about the story you're telling. And, you know, to help these guys. Like, yeah, you do have to be a main event wrestler and like be really good in the ring, but you can also mess up someone who's really good in the ring with crappy storylines. And I think that's what they're doing with Roman Reigns. I think I've seen, again, like, Roman Reigns has headlined pay-per-views and has had really good main event matches, but all of that is for nothing if the storyline and the booking is just awful, you know? Bryan could work. I mean, Bryan was the guy. I think Bryan still is the guy. I agree, Michael Numbers. I think Bryan still is the guy. I think if there's anyone right now that you can say, this is the face of WWE, you know, like you guys have been saying in the stream, I think it's Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is still, he still has that connection with the audience. He still has that ability. You know, there's just something about him. You know, and as long as they don't do things that are too absurd with his storyline and storytelling, because like even Cena Undertaker could have been great, but the storyline was just so bad. The storyline was so whack, and it hurt the match. And it's like, and that's something that, you know, I think WWE, again, I always go back to this idea that they overcomplicate stuff, that they always like shoot themselves in the foot. It's like they have things that should just be handed to them, and then they just somehow go out of their way to make it worse when it could be so easy for them. And there's so many guys that I think could carry the torch and become main event players and be faces of the company. There's so many guys, but they just haven't been putting them in the right position. They haven't been creating the right storylines for them because they've just been focusing on other stuff that doesn't really have any long-term, you know, effects. Oh yeah, I mean, Cena, I don't think there's any doubt that Cena is a main event player. I don't think there's any doubt that Cena can carry main event matches. There's, as much as like people like to hate on Cena, there's actually very few blemishes on Cena's card. Even though I disliked the Undertaker Cena match, there were still moments in that match that like with the little stuff that Cena was doing, and that's why I was disappointed. I was like, this could have been something so special, because Cena and Undertaker can create something really good. And they didn't give it the time. They didn't give it the respect it deserved as a match. And yeah, they did make it kind of jokey. And it's unfortunate because I think at the point of where Cena is in his career, they probably shouldn't be going with that direction with him. You know, it should be a little bit more of, you know, he is someone who's done it all in this business, who realizes time is against him, and there's still so much on his plate that he wants to do. And that, I feel like that's a big missed opportunity. I feel like that's a great story to tell for the Cena character that they're losing out on. And I hope, you know, they still have time to turn it around. They still have time to do stuff like that. But, you know, look at what he did when he was the U.S. Heavyweight Champion. You know, when he was the U.S. Heavyweight Champion, what made that so fun and exciting, not just the quality of matches he was having, but just this idea of that John Cena was self-aware of his legacy as being this multiple-time world champion, where, you know, it was the whole kind of thing. It's like the title doesn't make the man makes the title. And he went out there, and that was basically the storyline for John Cena as U.S. Heavyweight Champion. You know, it's the man who makes the title. I'm going to do something that hasn't been done in a long time. I'm going to do open challenges. I'm going to challenge anyone who wants a shot, no matter what. You know, you want some, get some. And that was great because it made sense for who Cena was in context of his journey in WWE. And I feel like that was the big missing element for Cena Taker. and you get matches like Taker Cena that should be like these main event matches that we should remember from years on, and no one's gonna remember this match. And I think that's a discredit to both of those guys. You know, and yeah, and they are trying to find, you know, the Cena replacement, quote unquote, but I think Cena needs to be part of that equation. I think, you know, the torch needs to be handed. You can't just try to build, you know, you just can't have a one-off match like they did with Cena and Roman Reigns and say, oh, look, he beat Cena, so now he's the guy. Like, no. Like, you gotta have feuds. You gotta have storylines. You gotta have it happen sort of organically. You gotta see how the crowd is responding and stuff like that. I mean, you know, look at when Cena and CM Punk were feuding. Like, it wasn't, you know, the fans were ready for CM Punk to be main event. But CM Punk needed that feud with Cena. CM Punk needed that feud with Cena to help carry him over to that next spot. You know, it's like they can still do so much with Cena, especially where he is right now in his career, and I just don't think they're doing it. Yeah, I think Cena is more in favor right now than Roman Reigns is. I would have to agree. I think a lot of people would rather see Cena than Roman Reigns. Um, yeah, as much as, you know, and again, as much as like people, you know, do the whole let's go Cena, then the Cena sucks. I really don't think a lot of those people who say Cena sucks actually thinks he sucks. You know, I think they just like doing the chant and like playing antagonists, whereas with Roman Reigns, it's a definite like, no, we don't want to see you. When the crowd is ready, so, and you know, and there's a difference between like the let's go Cena sucks chants, because the crowd, even though you have a part of the crowd that's doing that, they're not ready to bomb the match. They're ready to sit there and watch the match because they know at the end of the day, even though they might not fully like Cena, they know he's capable of putting on something, you know, that's going to be really good and entertaining. Whereas with Roman Reigns, it's like they're just ready to just get it over with. They're just ready to like, nope, we do not want to watch this. You know, and it's just, it's interesting that WWE has been so determined to just keep pushing that Roman Reigns train. And, yeah, it's interesting. But, you know, like, overall, like, I think, again, I think those were only a few blemishes on last night WrestleMania. I think that they don't really take away from the event as a whole. It was just kind of like a sour way to end it, but there was still, for me, there was a lot of good stuff on the event. I'm excited in the direction, as least excited as I am in the direction of where they're going with Cena's character and where they're going with Roman Reigns' character. I'm excited in the direction they're going with Nakamura and AJ, with Charlotte, with Asuka. You know, I want the New Day, and I want, you know, the Usos to, and the Bludgeon Brothers to have their moment. I feel like it was kind of like, you know, they were just a product of, you know, just being lost in the shuffle at WrestleMania. But I still have high hopes for them. You know, the Intercontinental Championship scene can keep being built around Rollins and Balor and, you know, The Miz. I mean that's a great place to insert Samoa Joe if he comes back. Insert him in the Intercontinental Championship feud. You know, the Cruiserweight division is looking really good. Cedric Alexander winning the Cruiserweight Championship. Yeah, there was a lot that was going on last night that I was really, really happy to see and maybe really excited for, despite the one or two big and it's funny, it's like the things that you can tell WWE probably cares the most about are the things that didn't go off as planned, except with the exception of the Ronda Rousey thing. I think obviously they care a lot about Ronda Rousey, having her be a big star. But you know, obviously the Roman Reigns Lesnar thing was probably like a really big thing for them, and it did not go well. The Cena Taker thing probably didn't go as, you know, wasn't as well received as they were probably expecting, even though people were excited to see Taker. I think they were also like just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, you know, that's probably not the reaction you want with Taker and Cena. Oh, my daughter was very disappointed that Ember Moon lost. But you know, it's funny because and see, again, this is like the storytelling that they were doing with that match, and I like that match a lot. I think they were in a really rough spot that it followed the ladder match, because I feel like the ladder match was just so crazy fun, and the crowd was so pumped for it that when Ember Moon and Shayna Baszler, like, the crowd definitely seemed engaged, but they were like a lot lower energy, and I feel like they did such a great job of building off of their past matches. And you know, my daughter going into the match was like, you know, hey Dad, I'm kind of worried. And I'm like, why are you worried? She's like, I think Ember might lose. And I was like, well, why do you think Ember might lose? And she's like, well, you know, Shayna Baszler, you know, she hurt her arm, and then she kept taunting Ember Moon, and Ember Moon wouldn't back down, and she's got that injured arm, and she's falling right into her trap. And I'm like, she is falling into her trap. Like, you know, like, and like, I was like, yes, like, my daughter is picking up. And that's when you know they're doing storytelling well, when a 9-year-old kid can pick up on the reasoning and logic as to why these two people are fighting, and why one person might lose and the other person might win. And it was because of the story they've been telling in the ring, and, you know, also with like sort of their vignettes, and, you know, getting into backstage fights and stuff like that. But I liked that match a lot. And when Ember Moon actually did lose, she was like, she lost? I didn't want her to lose. And I was like, well, it's okay, because she can get a rematch, because she's the champion, and when the champion loses, the champions get a rematch, so maybe she'll win it back. And she was like, oh, okay, well, I hope she does. But you could tell she was kind of sad that Ember Moon lost, but she still loves Ember Moon. Yeah, a lot of people are speculating Ember Moon's getting called up. I think that'd be a great boost for the women's division if she gets called up on Raw or SmackDown. Yeah, I think it would make sense for her to be on Raw, but, you know, it could be the whole, you know, because they've done it before. They did it with Sasha Banks and Bayley. When Sasha Banks, you know, got called up, she was still wrestling on NXT. You know, when even when Bobby Roode got called up, he was still doing stuff. You know, so I think she can get called up and still have that big rematch with Shayna Baszler, because they've done that before, where people have gotten called. Even when Kevin Owens came up, he was still wrestling. You know, he was the NXT champion when he got called up, and he was feuding with Cena, and he was still, you know, defending his title. He had to go and drop his title. So, like, they can still do that. They can still do that. She can still get called up and still have that rematch with Shayna. But I think it'd be cool to see Ember. I think she'd be a great fit for Raw. You know, it's gonna be interesting to see, you know, who the call-ups are gonna be tonight and on SmackDown. I just hope, you know, I think WWE, again, I think sometimes they're a little too self-aware. And I know it's become a thing. It's become like a novelty to like watch the Raw after WrestleMania, and they're gonna do a lot of crazy stuff. But I hope, you know, I really kind of wish they like spaced it out. Like, if you're gonna have all these call-ups from NXT, don't have them all in one night. You know, have like 1 or 2, you know, maybe 3, but like space it out. Like, you have so many Raws that you could do where you can call up people, and it's like, you know, keep people tuning in to the next week. Don't just, you know, throw all your eggs in one basket. You know, it's like, and that's could sometimes feel a little bit overwhelming when they do these call-ups. But I think Ember Moon is a good pick. You know, like we mentioned earlier, I think the Authors of Pain is a good pick. Oh man, the Aleister Black and Almas match was so good. I love that match. Yes, I was rooting for Almas as well. I'm a big fan of Almas. But I'm excited. I don't think they're calling up Almas just yet. They might bring him up too. I mean, he could definitely be someone coming in soon. But him losing to Aleister Black, you know, again, he's got the rematch. You know, they can still have a great feud. I think Almas still has a lot of stuff to do in NXT. So I'm not too worried about him. But I'm excited for their rematch because this match was great that they had. And, you know, you can tell their chemistry has improved because, you know, they fought, what was it, like a year or so ago they fought. And, yeah, they're just so much more dynamic now with each other. And I really enjoyed that about that match last night. I mean, not last night, but on Saturday. NXT Takeover was so good. Didn't disappoint. Unlike WrestleMania, there was very few or little blemishes on NXT Takeover. It's always, to me, NXT Takeover is always really good. You know, they keep it simple, they keep it entertaining, they keep it engaging. You know, a lot of the matches always have really good pacing, really good work in it. I think Peyton might be called up. You know, I don't know what they're doing with the Iconic Duo. They didn't show up in the women's Royal Rumble, but then Peyton was in the Battle Royal. I think it makes sense to bring them up. You know, because like to see them, if they were to return in NXT, because they've been kind of off camera for a bit, it's like, what would you really do with them that hasn't been done before in NXT? I mean, you could have them, you know, try to go after the NXT Women's Championship, but I don't know. I think they would be such a good dynamic to bring up, you know. And I think Billie Kay might be hurt. I think that's why we haven't really been seeing Billie Kay a lot in action. But yeah, it'd be cool if they brought up the Iconic Duel. You thought match of the night for you was the ladder match at Takeover? That was a fun match. That was a great match. Ricochet just, oh my goodness. You know, like when I heard Ricochet was coming to the WWE, I was like, man, I just hope they just let him be him. Let him do what he does best. And to be in a match with 6 other people, all rising stars in NXT, and then also with EC3 making his sort of, you know, comeback to WWE, Ricochet just stood out. He just stood out so much. And, you know, watching that match, I was like, yeah, I'm not worried about Ricochet. Like, Ricochet is gonna do just fine. Like, you know, for me, he really stood out the most. I mean, they all did pretty well in that match. They all, you know, looked really good. You know, EC3 looked great. Velveteen Dream looked great. Adam Cole winning it. You know, the coming out party for Undisputed Era, I was so excited about that. I was like, well, if Adam Cole is winning the championship, now you have to have them retain. And then, like, just seeing how all the pieces were coming together and seeing, like, yes, this all makes sense, you know? And it's like, just love it. Just love the storytelling. Love the creative. How it all came together. How it worked its way throughout the show. With all the different characters. That's what I love about NXT. It feels like it exists as a cohesive, you know, world. Much different than Raw and SmackDown, because Raw and SmackDown, there's so many different things happening within the shows that feel so disconnected. But NXT, I never really feel that. And yeah, that ladder match was great. I'm just wondering what they're going to do with this North American Championship. I understand, you know, it's the secondary title and stuff like that, but I just have a little bit of reservation of, like, you know, sort of crowding the championship division in NXT, because now you have the You have the North American Championship, you have the UK Championship, and the NXT Championship. That's already 3 main singles titles, or well, 1 main singles title and 2 secondary singles title, and then you have the tag team title and the women's title. You know, you have your tournaments that you do. So I'm just, you know, I'm hoping they don't overcrowd it, but I'm also excited that it gives someone, you know, it gives them an opportunity to tell different stories with a lot of their, you know, sort of top tier talent. So we'll see what they do with that. Velveteen Dream will probably be world champion one day. I mean, he's only what, 22 years old? Dude is so young. He's got a huge future ahead of him. Just in this past year, he's grown so much. And I just think, yeah, the future is bright for Velveteen Dream. He's so young. And yeah, I like what he's doing right now. I'm excited to see where he goes. Adam Cole is heel Shawn Michaels of this era. I get a lot of Shawn Michaels vibes when I see Adam Cole. And yeah, again, you gotta have a faction with a guy like Adam Cole. Just makes him even better. Makes the faction seem legit. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about the Undisputed Era. The 4 Horsemen of ROH, I like to call them. The 4 Horsemen of ROH is now the Undisputed Era. That's great. That's great. It's 2018, and it's crazy what NXT looks like and what WWE's roster looks like. But I think that's gonna be such. And I hope they're like, again, like, I love factions. I love dominant factions. I love, you know, storylines revolving around factions and tag teams. And, you know, I think it was as unfortunate as it was for Bobby Fish to get hurt. It's sort of lined up with the timing of the Roddy Strong turn. And, you know, I think that's going to help Undisputed Era a lot. Because now, you know, even though Bobby Fish is hurt, you still have that 3-person tandem, and then it'll become a 4-person when he comes back. And yeah, it's gonna be great. Love it. Adam Cole, baby, all the way, all the way. And he's got years ahead of him too. He's got so much time, and he's already got such a big movement behind him. I can see him doing a lot. They're really smart with who they bring in from, you know, other promotions. I think the people they've been bringing in the past few years, they've been getting a really great group of people, and you can just see it with a faction like the Undisputed Era. Like, what a great group they got there. Oh yeah, my friend and I, we both kind of cringed when that happened to Roman, you know, and you could tell something was a little off with the timing because, you know, he took a couple of belly-to-bellies in that match, and he definitely cleared, you know, he definitely cleared the floor a lot better and a lot higher than he did outside. It was a little scary in that moment, yeah. I don't know what happened there, and I you know, it took me out for a moment because I was like, ooh, I hope Roman's okay. And then also, like, the belly to belly to the table was just like, it looked so awkward. Like, was it supposed to look that awkward? Was it supposed to look that disjointed? Because it just also looked like Roman Reigns could have gotten really hurt there, like, you know. So but then when they got back in the ring, he got another belly to belly, and that belly to belly looked perfectly fine. So I don't know what was going on there. I don't know if that was purposeful or if they were like just kind of just off their rhythm a little bit, but you know, good thing it didn't end up badly for Roman Reigns, because that would have been really unfortunate, you know, because no matter what, like, at the end of the day, even if I don't like a story or the direction that, you know, angles are going, I still don't want to see these guys get really hurt, you know, badly, because that's just always unfortunate when that happens. Got another union sort of matchup here. Sans Big Show. Just realized that. I'm almost up to Mania, I believe. I should be able to get to Mania at the end of this stream. know, look at these back and forths between Shamrock and Austin. What could have been Shamrock and Austin. Ciampa and Gargano was excellent. Loved that match. So good. The emotional moments in that match were just so beautiful. And, you know, someone on Twitter, I don't want to take credit for it, but someone on Twitter brought up a really good point when I was going through, like, my feed and seeing all the different reactions and what people were saying. And someone pointed out that, you know, Ciampa and Gargano, they just know how to work silence into their matches. And, like, that's so true. Like, that's something that they did when they fought in the Cruiserweight Classic match. That's something that they did even in, like, the times when they attacked each other, when Ciampa attacked Gargano and vice versa. And it's like, you know, what a great thing to do. You know, you don't really see that a lot in wrestling. You don't really see these, like, moments of silence, but when they're done right and they're done well, they can be so effective. And yeah, that was part of the beauty of that match. Such a good match. Excited to see the direction they go with that, with Gargano now and Ciampa having to stick around. You just know, like, they're gonna keep having many matches, maybe even for the title. Maybe they'll get involved in the, you know, championship feuds somehow and come back around. You know, you could have Gargano or Ciampa go after the NXT title, and then they can meet again for the NXT title, and just a great beginnings of a feud and story that can just really carry NXT for the next year. I think it's gonna be great, and I thought it was pretty bold to have them as the championship match, because I'm, you know, a little bit of a pet peeve of mine is when the main championship doesn't go on last. And, you know, there's always exceptions to the rule when you have certain matches that are for some reason bigger than I was kind of surprised though, because I was like, oh, they're already making this a main event match between them and it's not a championship match. You know, I thought maybe they were gonna, like, kind of build up to that, where they have this main event match between Ciampa and Gargano, but they did it right away. They gave them their moment, and, you know, it did work. It did work. I was just really surprised that they did that so quickly, which tells me that, you know, they're probably gonna just work to it again. They're gonna work to another Ciampa and Gargano main event again, because they just know that, you know, it's just something that they can count on and deliver, even when the title's not at stake. You know, it's just... It was a storyline that really was the main focal point for NXT for the past year or so. So, past couple of years, actually, with the two of them. So, that was really cool that they did that. And even though, like, I always prefer the main championship match to come out to be last, I do think this was one of those exceptions to the rule. Yeah, I feel the same way about Lesnar, you know, with his whole style, with the whole Suplex City thing. I liked old Lesnar that actually, like, did more than one move. But, you know, I don't think we'll ever get that Lesnar back. We saw sort of glimmers of that with AJ, but I don't think we're ever getting that Lesnar back, honestly. You know, when he first came back, you could tell he was trying to kind of, like, recapture that, but I just feel like now that, and again, I don't know if it's completely a Lesnar decision. It could just be something that they want to do with the character, like, where they just want him to do this sort of style because they think it works, and it did work for a bit, but now, again, I think now it's becoming a little too tiresome and too predictable. I always think WWE, they feel like, you know, sometimes, you know, their fans are watching wrestling for the first time. and they can't pick up on a lot of these things. And you know, I always say never underestimate your audience. You know, never underestimate your audience, whether it be your diehard fans or your casual fans, you know, or people who aren't fans. Never underestimate them. Never underestimate. Don't ever try to predict what they're gonna do. Ooh, I kicked out there. Mankind couldn't get to me because Shamrock was hitting me, or was hitting him, and I almost thought I was gonna lose there. Yeah, no, yeah, Brock Lesnar was great before the whole Suplex City thing. Now it's become kind of a shtick that, like I said, it's just becoming a little too tiresome, a little too repetitive. You gotta switch it up. You gotta switch it up, you know? After a while, fans are gonna get tired of seeing the same old thing. But, you know, I guess that's the fortunate thing of having two world championships, because, you know, even though the Lesnar, oh shoot, this is a bad situation here. I am gonna lose a tag team match. That's gonna happen. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Hope this was a regular tag team match. How did this one get away from me? Test, man. Test. He finally did it. He got his big win. All of road to WrestleMania. He was trying to get that big win on Sunday Night Heat. Oh, they took the championships from me. Aw. Ken Shamrock and Test. Tag team champions, ladies and gentlemen. Sunday Night Heat. They beat Stone Cold and Mankind. Uh-oh. Rock and Austin on Raw. Let's do it. Can't believe I lost that match. That match got away from me, indeed. Oh, man. Rock and Austin. Raw. Thought this was going to be the WrestleMania match. But yeah, like I was saying, like, you know, yeah, I've been kind of like moving on from Lesnar. I don't think we're gonna get the Lesnar we've ever had before, but I'm excited in the direction that WWE is going with their WWE Championship. You know, their first World Championship, I guess, or their, you know, and I think Nakamura and AJ. You know, I think their match at WrestleMania left you wanting a little bit more. It was a little bit more to be desired, but in a good way, because there wasn't a bad match that they wrestled. It was just like, you know, like I said in the beginning, it was just the kind of thing where it was like, all right, yeah, 20 minutes. Okay, sweet. Now it's really going to get going. And then it ended, and it was like, wait, no, wait, hold up. Like, and, but because of the whole thing with Nakamura turning at the end and the way it was done, I see why it went as long as it did and felt like it was just getting going, because I think there's a lot. I mean, they want these guys to build a great, memorable feud. And again, you can't come out the gate just knocking home runs. I mean, it was sort of the same thing that happened with Chris Jericho and AJ Styles. You know, Jericho and AJ Styles, you know, obviously they met before Mania, but then, you know, at Mania, Jericho got the win, and that kept the feud going. And I felt like the match that they had after WrestleMania was better than the WrestleMania match. You know, sometimes WrestleMania, you know, it can be the start of a great feud. You know, it can be the end of a great feud, or it can be the start of a great feud. And I saw that AJ Styles Nakamura match as the start of a great feud and the start of a great, you know, direction to lead with either men as champion, because I do still think Nakamura will become WWE champion eventually. With both of them, I feel like they're going to set the bar, not to steal anything from Cesaro and Sheamus, but I feel like AJ Styles and Nakamura are going to sort of set the bar of all the feuds for the WWE Championship that's going to come after them. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see the people who gets involved. You know, would it have been nice if they got a little bit more time at WrestleMania? Yeah, but if the story was gonna be Nakamura was gonna turn heel because he's a sore loser, then it makes sense that the match ended the way it did. And again, that just gives them room to really put on that classic when they are ready to put the button on that match, and that's a very New Japan style of booking. That's a very New Japan style of booking where, they give you a match you've been waiting for, and then it ends up being like a really good match, but really it's to set up their next encounter and the encounter after that. And those are the matches that are going to establish the legacy. It's like you almost don't want to establish you don't want to peak with the first match, because if you peak with the first match, you don't have anywhere to go but down. So you want to give them just enough where they say, oh yeah, that was good, but I kind of wanted more. And it's like, don't worry, we're going to give you more. And that's a very New Japan style of booking. And it makes sense to do that kind of style of booking with AJ Styles and Nakamura. Nakamura is now WWE's Naito. Naito got a lot of what worked for him from Nakamura. So it's, I think Nakamura is now Nakamura in his truest form. At least I hope they let him be. But having Nakamura be heel is going to be Nakamura being in his truest form. Because again, a lot of what made Nakamura special was his style, was his aggression, or is his aggression, not was. Is his aggression, is his style, is how he turns it up, is how, and that's what I loved about the feud between him and AJ Styles, the build-up, I should say, going into Mania was, it was him teasing AJ Styles about AJ Styles' emotion. But Nakamura's all emotion, and that's what always made him so captivating, is that you just knew at the turn of a switch, he can turn up this, he can all of a sudden be like the angriest person you've seen, or the most, hateful or vindictive or happy, or, so it's like, it's to see him turn heel, he's got more freedom to do that because he's not restricted. I feel like when you're a heel, there's so much more open, so much more things that are open for you in terms of the emotions you can convey and the feelings you can convey, because no matter what, at the end of the day, you're always trying to justify that you're right, and it all satisfies your own personal beliefs. So I see Nakamura being in his truest form now, I don't know. They could give Nakamura a stable, but I don't know if he really needs one right now. I don't think he really needs one right now because, again, I don't think the direction you go with Nakamura, when you have someone who's when you have a stable, it's usually because they're all trying to protect the top person. And Nakamura, what makes him captivating is that he doesn't need protection. Nakamura, he can do things on his own. He's a threat to anyone at any given time, and that's what made him. In Japan, he was part of a stable because in Japan everyone's part of a stable. New Japan, everyone is part of a stable in some form or another. So that's just kind of a thing. But I like in Nakamura in WWE if he exists sort of like as his own entity. So I don't think he would need a stable. If anything, it'd be weird. It'd be like just a tough question. Is like, well, who do you put in that stable? Hideo Itami. Hideo Itami and Nakamura should honestly feud against each other. I think that's a dream matchup waiting to happen. I think Nakamura and Itami should go at it. They almost, had a brief moment in NXT where they were going to team up, but then Itami got hurt again. You know, or no, I'm sorry, no, it was gonna be Otami and Ibushi teaming up. It wasn't gonna be Otami and Nakamura. But I was thinking that maybe they were gonna cross paths in NXT at one point, but they didn't. You know, because of Otami's injury, he was out. But I see Nakamura, and Otami being rivals. Honestly, I don't see them as a stable because of who their characters are. They're a lot different. You know, Atami is a lot more serious than Nakamura, and you know, I think for them to be foils, obviously they're both heel right now, and I mean Otama is doing his own little heel turn also, but I think they're both big personalities that just can't coexist. So to have them on a stable would be kind of forced because, you know, I know Atami isn't on the attraction level as Nakamura is, but realistically, like, Atami should have probably been as big as that now, you know, if he didn't get so injured and if he was given, you know, the right storylines and stuff. You know, and I'm always like, you know, I always feel like, you know, sometimes like maybe you shouldn't have, you know, just the only two Japanese guys you have, like you don't have to have them team up, you know, and especially in this case with Atami and Nakamura, the paths that they went in Japan with Nakamura being a New Japan guy and Atami being a Noah guy, like I still want to see them fight each other. I still want to see them go at each other, and I think that would be cool to see. I think Atami would fit really well in Balor Club, actually. I think Atami would do very well in Balor Club if Balor Club was heel and Atami went full heel, which I think he is turning full heel also. It's a little bit slower than Nakamura, but I would love to see Otami with Finn Balor and Anderson and Gallows. I think that would make a really nice, interesting stable. And Atami can be the secret muscle of the group. Even though he would be like the smallest one, he would be the most deadliest. So here we are. We reached WrestleMania. Don't I didn't look at the card, but I think I defend every title at WrestleMania, don't I? Isn't that like a thing they make you do? But we reached WrestleMania. I'll hopefully win all the matches. A little disappointed in my win percentage for this run, but I guess I could always do a run with someone else to try to get 100%. And we're doing pretty good on time. It's only 2 o'clock, so I have an hour left to stream. Here's Big Boss Man. Big Boss Man and Jeff Hardy. Triple threat match. What a triple threat match at WrestleMania. Who booked this? Who booked this show? Shouldn't take me too long to get to the WrestleMania card. And then I will get challenged by Shawn Michaels, I believe, right? I hope I do. I hope I didn't mess up anywhere where I don't get challenged as Shawn Michaels. By Shawn Michaels. Here you go. Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out. I'm gonna skip his entrance. It's 11:35 p.m. Oh man, when did you when you watched Mania, what time was it when you were watching Mania? Because, you know, when I was watching Mania, it started at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So what time was it on for you when Mania was going on? It was probably like during the day, right? It would have been during the day then, because there's such big time differences. That's always cool, you know, the time differences. I think it's like so many things are going on in so many different parts of the world at so many different times, but it's all happening at the same time. It's crazy. It's crazy how that works. It still blows my mind. But yeah, let me know what time it was over there when you were watching WrestleMania last night, because it would have been last night for me, but I assume it would have been a different time for you. I gotta get my WrestleMania 15 video up too, that I've been working on. I'll work on it a little bit more later today. Probably when I watch. I still have to watch, you know, all this excitement about WrestleMania and NXT Takeover, but you know, my day was pretty full Saturday and Sunday with doing other things leading up to being able to watch the shows, that I didn't get around to seeing the stuff that Impact was doing. I didn't get around to see Supercard of Honor. So tonight, you know, amongst the Raw stuff, I'm going to try to watch, you know, later on today, I'm going to try to watch Supercard of Honor. I heard Hangman Page and Ibushi put on a really good match. I heard Cody and Omega put on a really good match. The ladder match between the Young Bucks and the Briscoes, and you know, I heard all that stuff was really good. So, you know, WrestleMania weekend still doesn't end for me after this, because I'm gonna catch up on the, you know, all the fallout of what happened with Lucha Underground against Impact. You know, I was trying to catch some of that on Twitch throughout the weekend, but I was just not by my computer enough. I was not by my computer enough that, you know, to watch it. So I'm going to try to watch the replays on Twitch or something. And because I'm really excited to see that. And especially with everything that happened apparently with Alberto Del Rio no-showing the main event that was supposed to be a tag team. So it became a triple threat. And now it's going to be a triple threat again between Pentagon, Phoenix, and Austin Aries. So like, that's really exciting. But I wonder why Del Rio didn't show up, and then they fired him from Impact. Would I say Itami and Nakamura could be the new Rock Austin? No, because I don't think they would sell as much merch and take the world by storm. You know, especially with American audiences. Like, if you had Nakamura and Itami, you know, feuding in Japan, you know, with Nakamura against Kenta, like, that could have been like one of the biggest things they could have done over there. That would have taken the world by storm over there. But I just think it's a different market. I think secretly, if they were to do a Nakamura Kenta feud, I think secretly it'd probably be one of the best feuds they could ever do. But no one would ever, I feel like, appreciate it on the Austin Rock level. Unfortunately, I don't think the WWE audience would ever give it that, you know, gravity that, you know, it kind of is, but, you know, realistically it isn't if we're looking at numbers and figures and stuff like that. But I think Nakamura and Kenta can have a classic match that people who probably aren't familiar with their history, you know, their respective histories, and the fact that they sort of travel two different paths, I think they could, really put on something special and really make a memorable feud and have memorable matches. Again, if given the time and energy to do so. But would it be like a, you know, you know, perception's a big thing, I think, when it comes to WWE fans, and I just don't think people would ever perceive Nakamura and Itami to be like a Rock and Austin kind of feud. But, you know, I think it could be a great feud that could probably be remembered, you know, for a very long time, and talked about after the fact, and people sort of realizing like, oh yeah, like, that was something special, you know. It was morning 2:30 pre-show and 5:30 main show. You only watched the main show. Okay, yeah. So 5:30 a.m. in the morning. Ooh, that's early. Yeah, Boss Man messing things up. He always manages to mess things up in these tag matches and triple threat matches. It's always Boss Man. Always Boss Man. Young Bucks betrayed. Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes is officially new leader, or maybe Tama Tonga will do something about it. Yeah, I heard about that. I saw some of the stuff on Twitter. You know, some of the pictures coming out of it. But I want to see the match. I want to see the event as a whole. You know, I love Ring of Honor. The Supercard of Honor shows are always really, really good. And you know, the build up for Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes was really exciting, and I was waiting to get to that. So I can't wait to see how it all goes down. But yeah, I saw some pics, you know, and stuff like that. Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes assuming the leadership of the Bullet Club. Yeah, we'll see what Tama Tonga has to say. OG Bullet Club member, if he's tired of all these people coming in and, you know, taking over the Bullet Club for self-gain, and now, you know, he's fed up with it. He's been there since the beginning. You know, he feels like maybe he should be the leader because, you know, he is serving the interests of the Bullet Club as opposed to his own personal gain, his own personal celebrity. And we all know Cody Rhodes, or Cody, don't call him Rhodes, is all about the personal gain. So that's a really interesting story. It's really cool how, and again, it's really cool how they are, you know, telling this story about the Bullet Club, because, you know, I do feel like Bullet Club is coming towards the end of its story. But I like how they're working with it, and they're still doing things that make sense narrative wise to keep it engaging, to keep it interesting, and to change with what's been happening with, you know, with the Bullet Club and the people who have been coming and going and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to see that direction. Oh, come on, boss man, stop it. Ah, oh, come on. This WrestleMania was better than the last two WrestleManias. I definitely enjoyed it better than the last two WrestleManias as well. Like I said, I think at the beginning of the stream, you know, the last WrestleMania I really enjoyed was WrestleMania 30. You know, all the other ones, I remember 31 and 32 had some things in it that I loved, but overall I didn't enjoy them as a whole. I remember really not enjoying last year's as a whole. Yeah, this year's for me was probably my favorite since 30. I still haven't come to a decision if I like 30 more, if I like 34 more. I would have to go back and watch stuff. You know, I have to go back and watch 30 again. You know, watch 34 stuff again, you know. But I like them both. I like them a lot. And I definitely think it's one of the more positive manias. One of the better manias. Just like how I thought 30 was. And, you know, it's always good to have a good Mania after 3 years. It's always good to see, like, oh, Mania's good again. Sweet. Hopefully they're good again next year, you know. It's always good to get that. Young Bucks and Golden Lovers was rated 5 stars. Oh, I didn't realize it was rated 5 stars. I love that match. That match was great. That's a great accomplishment for them to get. Again, tag team wrestling, man. There's so much you can do with tag team wrestling. Tag team wrestling can be main event status wrestling. And I remember watching that match and just thinking, yes, like this is exactly like what I love about tag team wrestling. And especially, you know, with the history there with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. And then now with Ibushi there. Like, and it's not, you know, again, they pulled out a lot of stops, but knowing what both teams are capable of, there was still so much more they could have done that they didn't actually do, because again, they were focusing a lot on the story being told in that moment and leaving a lot. And you know, they have more freedom outside, you know, WWE, you know, with Nakamura and AJ Styles, like, you know, that's a very well-oiled machine that every segment is timed out. Everything is given a specific amount of time. You know, with New Japan, you know, it's a lot different. You know, it's a lot different. There's a lot more freedom in, you know, getting the time you need to tell your story. And they were allowed to tell the story at their pace, at their time. But I also think that there's going to be more. I think it'd be foolish to just do Young Bucks and the Golden Lovers once. That's something you gotta do again. Especially, you know, considering the fallout of super card of honor. If we're finally going when Cody and the Young Bucks are splitting, that just means even more so that there's going to be more tension between the two teams. And with the Young Bucks moving up to the heavyweight division in New Japan, then you just know it's going to come to a head if both teams start deciding to chase after the titles. And then that could be, again, like, that could be something that just elevates that tag team division, because the tag team division, the junior heavyweight tag team division in New Japan has been really good the past few years. The main heavyweight tag team division has been kind of lacking in the past few years. I would say ever since like Anderson and Gallows left, it's been kind of lacking. When you have the Young Bucks, when you have the Golden Lovers, when you have even inserting Cody and maybe Marty Scurll, Hangman Page into this tag team dynamic, that's just great main event storytelling that you can tell with tag team wrestling. It's so good. But I didn't know it got 5 stars. That's awesome that it got 5 stars. Again, I don't put too much stock into star ratings, but that's still a great accomplishment for them to get, and I'm sure they're proud of it, and they should be proud of it. To be so well received by their critics and their contemporaries, that just probably tells them that they're on the right path. They're doing the right thing. For you, WrestleMania 26 was your favorite because of Undertaker versus HBK, Cena versus Batista, Sheamus versus Triple H, and triple threat match between Legacy. Best WrestleMania for you. Who won the Ring of Honor Women's Championship? It wasn't Emma. It wasn't Emma. It was what's her name? The Japanese wrestler. Oh man. Sumi Sakai. It was Sumi Sakai. She ended up winning. I heard that match was really good too. I gotta see that match. I kind of missed out on a lot of the Women of Honor tournament. I really wish I saw some of the matches. I plan on going through and watching all the matches that were part of the tournament. But Sumi Sakai won. You thought Marty Scurll should have won from Dalton Castle. Yeah, I mean, I think Dalton Castle just got the title, and Ring of Honor is kind of known for having pretty decently long title runs for everyone. And since Dalton just won it before the end of the year, I kind of thought that he wasn't gonna lose to Marty Scurll. I don't think Marty Scurll yet is gonna become Ring of Honor champion. I think he very well could be Ring of Honor champion one day. But I don't think it's gonna happen for him yet. But he's great, man. I love Marty Scurll. But I want to see what they do with Dalton Castle with his run, because I think he'll have an interesting run. There's a lot of stuff happening right now around him, and it's almost like when Michael Elgin was champion. It was almost like, oh, was this the right time? Because there's so much other stuff happening, and then they took the title off of Elgin and stuff like that, and just because they knew oh, maybe we just put it on him right at the wrong time. I hope that doesn't happen with Castle, but I'm getting sort of that same kind of vibe. There's so much stuff happening around him where it's you're happy for Dalton because it's yeah, cool, he's the champion, but then it's he's just getting the title right when all this other stuff is happening. It's an interesting dynamic. But he's great. I like Dalton Castle too. They got a lot of good people in Ring of Honor right now. It's really good. Yeah, WWE underused Emma a lot. But I think she's doing pretty well for herself already ever since leaving WWE, and I think the future looks pretty bright for her, man. And I wouldn't be surprised if she comes back, and they treat her as a bigger deal. Because I think she's already, I think she's gonna make a name for herself on the indie scene. Women's division, no, women's wrestling on the indie scene has been coming up too a lot, and Ring of Honor has been making great strides with it. Impact Wrestling has been making great strides with their women's division. Their women's division has always been kind of good though, even though it's dipped a little bit in and out of the years, but I think it's gonna be good. I think she'll be fine. You know what? I'm gonna give Boss Man. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I was gonna give Boss Man a stunner because I wanted to pin Jeff. I can still pin Jeff. Damn it, I ruined that. Boss Man has just been aggravating me this match. He's just been getting on my nerves. That would have been a cool double team. Here you go. We'll double team Jeff, and I'll get rid of Boss Man. Alright. Come on, Boss Man. You got to get out of here. There we go. Huh. Oh, man. I should have... No, this is fine, because I want to get Boss Man. Unless he hits me now. Nope. I'm countering everything. I got a special, people. Let me see if I can grab... Ah, come on. No. No, Boss Man. You're just ruining everything, Boss Man. Oh, now they're double teaming me. This match is going on way too long. This is definitely, I think, the longest match I've done in this road to WrestleMania. And I'm trying to work my way out of it. You were disappointed by Asuka versus Charlotte because the whole match Asuka dominated with holds, and in the end just one figure 8 and Asuka tapped. I think Asuka should have survived one, and tapping to second one would have been good. I understand that. But on the flip side to that, Asuka never got the Asuka lock on. So it was just a kind of thing, a race to see who can prevent the other person from getting their hold on first. Because basically, the match was over. Whoever would get it was the Asuka lock versus the figure 8, and Charlotte managed to get the Asuka lock on. But I think, and I get it. I get that sentiment. And again, this match could have gone either way for me. I still wanted Asuka to win, but I kind of like the way they did it, because if you're gonna have Charlotte beat Asuka, she's got to do it in a way where it's like she tapped into a part of herself that, allowed her to rise to the occasion. And just that shot of her, Asuka was working on her arm, but the fact that, like, she was able to still execute the figure 4 and the bridge on one arm, like, it just added so much more, what's the word I'm looking for? It just seemed like it was coming from a different place. Like, she was digging deeper. And, and this is a problem. This is a problem that WWE has, where they don't protect finishers, because it's like, when they want to do moments like this, where, they make it so that, like, as soon as someone hits the finisher, it's over. They don't ever follow through with that, throughout the whole year. They kind of just pick and choose when they do it. And, something like the figure 8, we've seen people get out of the figure 8. We've seen people escape from it. And it's like, so you want to have this epic moment where she's beating her with the figure 8, because the figure 8 is supposed to be, a top tier finishing move. But when you've seen it, when you've seen it not always have that effect, it's always in the back of your mind, where it's like, it's kind of unexpected. It's like, oh wow, she actually just did it, one and done. Like, that's how it should be. but you're not used to it. So it's like, then you're like, you question it, like, but wait, you know, like, so it's like they get themselves in that, I think they get themselves stuck in that position because they don't protect a lot of the finishers. And that's what could be frustrating. But I really enjoyed Asuka Charlotte. I think that was my second favorite match of the night for myself. Bossman was not cooperating one bit. Finally got rid of him. Hopefully this match doesn't go as long. That match took a lot longer than I wanted it to, because Bossman was just not cooperating. I think it was too soon to end Asuka's streak, but you know what? I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be okay. I think you know, there's always sometimes a problem, you know, with streaks too. It's like sometimes too long can be a bad thing. It all depends on what you're trying to achieve. And, you know, again, the verdict is still out. You know, they ended Asuka's streak, so it's like, okay, but this could be even better for Asuka if they do it right, you know? And this could be even better for the story between Asuka and Charlotte if they do it right. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do with the both of them. But I would love to see them wrestle again. Do I monetize my videos, or do Aki Sin Sophia copyright your videos if you monetize? I monetize all my videos, and I've never gotten a copyright notice for Aki or Sin Sophia. Aki is not, you know, Sin Sophia, I don't think they care about these games anymore, honestly. So I don't get any copyright protections against them from them. Nor WWE for that matter, even doing a WWF game. They don't care about these games. These games are on the N64, they're old, they're not made anymore. They don't care about these games. It's really with newer games that sometimes you'll see copyright strikes on. It's very rare. Depending on the company, it's very rare to see copyright strikes on older games. You know, obviously Nintendo's a big exception sometimes with some of their older games because with their bigger franchises, but I would be surprised if there's anyone who's even in Sin Sophia who has worked on these games, you know, like that still works there, because it's so long ago now. But yeah, they don't care. At least I don't think they care. Or maybe I'm just not big enough for them to care. Maybe when I have 5 million subscribers, then they'll care. But for now, they don't care. So I'm happy about that. Because I'm not bringing in the big bucks with YouTube. You know, I've barely made anything. But you know, it is nice to have them monetized and not have to worry about a copyright strike or claim, which is also part of the reason why I chose these games. Like I felt like I wasn't gonna really have any resistance from anyone, because it's like who's around from these games that cares. The code has probably been lost for these games, unfortunately, which is sad to think about, but that might be the truth of it. Just like a lot of older games, you know, stuff has been lost. Damn it. Shamrock is trying to be the next boss man, and I do not like it. I do not like it. You think Charlotte is overrated and pushed down your throat? Whoa. That's a bold statement. I like Charlotte a lot, so I'm a little biased, probably. I just think that I think the problem is with, like, I love the women's, you know, all the women that they have in the women's division, but you know, it's not just Charlotte and Sasha. Like, there's so many people you could have done when they were having that feud. It was just them every week, Charlotte and Sasha. And what made their feuds in NXT great was that, you know, they rotated throughout the roster. And even when WWE had people, like we said, when they had Emma, and they had all these people, you know, in the wings waiting to be included, they weren't using them. They were just focusing on Sasha and Charlotte, or Bayley and Charlotte, or Bayley and Sasha. And it's like, there's more. There's more than that, you know. And You know, it's like they're determined. Like they're trying to make progress and have the women do something, but it seems like they only are including the women when the championship is involved, and keeping it very specific to like 2 to 4 women at a time. And again, when you do that, when you have someone who I think Charlotte is great in the ring. I think she's a great performer, and like she's had so many great matches in NXT and even a few good, really good matches on the main roster. I just think that, hold on one second, my dog is pawing at the door again. Alrighty. Dog wanted to go out. What's my dog's breed? I have a we got her at a shelter a couple of years back. She's a Lhasa Apso mix. We never really went to really figure out what she actually has in her, but she's definitely a Lhasa Apso mix. You can definitely tell that's her main primary, probably, species, if you will. But she's definitely got a little bit of mix in there, something else. She's a small dog. She's cute. Sometimes she barks to let us know when there's people around, but she's very harmless. She's great. She loves to be pet and cuddled and stuff like that. She's always really good at letting me know when she wants to go outside and when she wants to come back in, so that helps. You hope we have 5 million subscribers? No, 10 million subscribers? Oh man, that'd be a lot of work. I hope things go really well for me too. Who knows how many subscribers I'll have one day. I'll be happy with 1 million. I'll be happy with 1 million. Aim for 1 million, end up getting 10 million. That'd be great. But I'm definitely gonna, I know that, like, even though wrestling is always gonna be my, I think, bread and butter, it's always gonna be my passion. I am very passionate about other video games as well, so I think that's gonna really help grow my channels. Creating a very diversified group of content. Because as much as I can go on about wrestling, there's definitely so many other video games I can go on about as well. Oh, you have 2 dogs? Awesome. A stray and a Indian Spitz cross. Oh, very cool. Very cool. I love dogs. I'm a dog person. My kids and my wife are bugging me for another dog. But, they're not the ones who clean up and do all the stuff for the dog all the time. So it's very easy to ask for a dog if you're not taking care of it most of the time. I would like to have another dog, but I think right now it'd be a little bit too much. But I would like for her to have a companion. I feel like she gets lonely. But now that I'm here all the time, she has me. So it's kind of delayed us getting a companion for her because now I'm with her. And before I was feeling like, yeah, it'd be great if she had someone. But now that I'm home all the time, she has me. So it's like, nah, we don't need another dog yet. She's got me. Why does she need another dog? But it's always a big investment when you get a dog with money. And I think she's a little bit of an older dog. We got her at the shelter, and she's great. She's very well trained. She's very well behaved. She's very affectionate. But I think I would maybe want to get a little bit of a younger dog after her, so like to keep her companion, but also so like she can sort of help you know, raise the younger dog a little bit. Not like a puppy, but just like, you know, a younger dog. And, you know, a few years old. And, you know, also with kids, you know, you want dogs that last, you know, a long time. So it's like I would want another dog that would, you know, last until the girls are a little bit more older. But you know, you gotta get the shots, you gotta get food and stuff, and you know, with her, when we got her from the shelter, she needed surgery done for her teeth, you know, so that cost a little bit of money. And you know, if anything were to happen, you know, it's always an investment to get dogs. So I don't think we're ready just yet to get another dog, but I would love to have another dog. And you know, we have a nicely sized house. And so if we were to get a second dog, it would have to be another smaller dog. But I would love to one day have like a really big, you know, house, or not a big house, but like a big yard or big backyard, and to have like 2 or 3 dogs that can just run around that big yard, you know, because I really do feel like sometimes dogs need a lot of space to just get out and run around. Here we go. Championship match. Undertaker, Stone Cold, WrestleMania. It's all been coming down to this moment. Look at Taker slowing it down. Let me run back inside before we get counted out the main event of WrestleMania, and I gotta start all over again. This is the WWF Championship match. This is it. This is the main event at WrestleMania. Doesn't look like I'll be able to reclaim the Tag Team Championship, which is unfortunate. Hope that doesn't affect Shawn Michaels coming out. I don't think it does, right? Yeah, we both love dogs and wrestling. I love dogs. Cats, I'm not crazy about. I feel like cats are rude a lot of the times. Dogs, they just want to have fun. So what work do I do besides YouTube and Twitch? Nothing. I actually left my work to do YouTube and Twitch. I had a job for many years. I had a 9 to 5, and then I gave it up so I could do YouTube and Twitch full time. So right now, YouTube and Twitch are my full-time jobs. And just working on content and creating stuff. You know, trying to come up with a good system. You know, still working things out. You know, I only recently left my job at the end of November. Took December off for a little bit because it was the holidays, so I didn't really do much of anything. And in January, I started, you know, full steam working on my channel, catching up on a lot of projects that I had unfinished with the videos. And then now I'm sort of just planning out the next few months and what my content is going to look like, what new ideas I want to do that I didn't get a chance to do before because I didn't have time for it before. All that good stuff. Learning how to do Twitch, learning how to do YouTube better, all that jazz. Takes a lot of time. And then, you know, I'm also sort of like a full-time dad, you know, because I'm home, and so I make dinner for when the kids get home, and I make sure, you know, I wash clothes. I do a lot of chores around the house, because when you have 2 parents who are working full time, it's so hard to get all the chores done throughout the week and on the weekend, and it was always so busy and stressful. Now it's a lot easier with me. I'm able to do a lot of the chores and a lot of the work at home, but that's also like kind of a full job itself. But I don't mind it, because it's not like, I don't have to wake up and go anywhere. I can do everything at home. I can work from home, you know, with the YouTube and Twitch. And if things need to be done around the house, I can do it at any time. You know, it's not like cutting into time like how it was when I was working. So what type of job did I have? Well, my 9 to 5, I was a receptionist at a theater. At a, not a movie theater, but you know, they used to do Broadway shows and stuff like that, traveling shows, Broadway traveling shows. So I was a receptionist there for several years. That was my 9 to 5. I used to answer the phones and create documents and work on like marketing calendars, and assist people who came into the theater with anything they needed help with, meeting, like people who needed to go to meetings and stuff like that, and a lot of day-to-day stuff, just sort of like kind of reacting to all the stuff that was happening with like maybe the box office or customers and things like that. It was a desk job that I got to move around a little bit. Nothing glamorous, nothing exciting. Kind of boring a lot of times. Definitely better than a lot of the jobs I've had before that. But after my heart was elsewhere. My heart wanted to do the YouTube and Twitch stuff, and I'm glad I made the change, because it's been much better since making the change. My wife, she works for social services. She's got like a social services kind of job where she helps people with like housing and budgeting. But it's like kind of like in the social services field, and and those fields are like kind of like very they're very broad, so there's a lot of different things that comes with it. But that's basically the field she's in. She's in social work, social services. But she's also, she's like me. She's an artist like me. Like she, her heart lies elsewhere. She wants to, direct and write for, TV and plays and stuff like that. So, we're trying to figure out how we can both pursue our dream at the same time. I have 2 kids. Yeah, they're 9 and 6. They're 9 and 6 years old. They are 3 years apart, 9 and 6 years old. And I've been raising them right. They love video games. And they don't watch wrestling as much as I do, but they do stick around for when the women wrestle. Yeah, both daughters. They do stick around when the women wrestle. So that's good, but once the women aren't wrestling, they just walk away. They're like, "Oh, okay, I'm over this." So it's kind of funny actually. It's like, at least they like seeing the women wrestle, and that's why I think it's really important what WWE is doing. I see it firsthand, with my girls, and having them to have such great representation, for all these women who are such great athletes and great performers. Like, that's very important to have. Like, I feel like we, as men, we kind of like don't really understand that because we're so used to seeing all these men wrestle. We're used to seeing men everywhere in wrestling. So like, but when a little girl notices a women wrestler, it's like she knows that that's not normal. That's different, and it opens up their eyes and minds to that possibility, of maybe themselves doing it. You think my daughters will want to be pro wrestlers? I hope they don't. I hope they don't want to be wrestlers, to be honest. That's dangerous. I love wrestling. I love wrestling so much. It's one of my favorite things, but when I was in late high school, thinking about like what I wanted to do after high school, I really thought about it. I was like, why don't I just become a pro wrestler? Why don't I just go into wrestling? And I really looked into it. But I was like, do I really want that? Do I really want to give my whole life to this? Because I really do think, with wrestling, it's one of those things like you kind of give your whole life to, not just like your social life and your family life, but like your body, and it's an investment, it's a commitment. And I feel like, for like 90% of people who do it, it's in their blood. It's like they don't see themselves doing anything else. And I always saw myself as a fan of wrestling, but never as someone who probably could have been a wrestler. Just because of all the stuff that goes into it. All the sacrifice and everything like that. And if my girls want to do that, sure. Great. But like, you know, I would want them to do it because they feel like it's in their blood. Because it's feel like they can't do anything else. Because I think there's a lot of other jobs and a lot of careers you can have that's a lot less sacrificial than wrestling. And but you know, I'm gonna be supportive of them, whatever they want to do. But you know, they're 6 and 9, so I kind of don't want to think about them growing up and being adults just yet. Maybe when they're teenagers, when I'm ready for them to, like, you know, all right, it's time for you to get out of the house. But right now, they're still my little babies, and it's like, you know, just to think that in like, you know, 10, 15 years they're gonna be full-blown adults. It's just like, it's just my. Had to let my dog back in, but here we go. HBK. They really make you work to get HBK in this game, man. And if you think about it, he's like the only, like, notable unlock. Because, like, you know, you get JR and you get Jim Ross. You know, and getting JR is kind of fun. And yeah, that's his WrestleMania 14 attire. He's got the little DXs, the heartbreaks with the DXs on them, the DX symbols on them, I should say. That's definitely his WrestleMania 14 attire. But like, they really, if you think about it, they really make you work for just this one character, like. Because you can also unlock Paul Bearer and Stephanie McMahon, but they're, like, you know, just managers in this game. And, you know, look at, he's just taunting. Come on, Sean. Get in the ring. Why are you just taunting? Showboat. Mr. WrestleMania, indeed. You want to taunt? You want to taunt? I can taunt. Oh, now he's going in the ring. Come on. Oh, I messed that up. Yeah, but I don't mind the personal questions. I mean, if it's too personal, I'm just not gonna answer it. But I feel like all those questions are like kind of basic questions. I don't think they're too personal. If I thought it was too personal, I just would ignore it. I just wouldn't answer it. You know, and then you can unlock Cactus Jack and Dude Love, right? But, like, you know, they're just Mankind skins, really, just with separate slots. You know, there's kind of filler unlock characters. So, the fact that they make you go through all of Road to WrestleMania to get everyone, like, it's great because it forces you to play Road to WrestleMania. But again, I wish there was maybe a little bit more incentive to go through Road to WrestleMania again. You know, like, I mean, technically, like, if you don't know you can unlock the Smoking Skull belt, then you would go through, then I guess you would have to go through WrestleMania twice, because, like, let's say you choose your favorite, you go through WrestleMania, and then you find out, like, oh, you could unlock the Smoking Skull belt as, if you play with Stone Cold. And I think that's actually what happened to me. When I first got this game, I think I played through Road to WrestleMania as, like, my own created character. And then I read that you could unlock the Smoking Skull belt. So I went through as Stone Cold. Buffalo is a city. It's a small city. Very small city, actually, in comparison to, like, New York City, where I'm originally from. But it's a city. But it's kind of small. I call it, like, a town. I make fun of it. Like, I'm like, Buffalo's like a town, because like every time I go out, I always run into someone I know, and it's like, you shouldn't run into someone you know when you're living in a city. Like, that's small, but we're technically we're classified as a city, so there you go. But I'm from New York City, and even if you were like living with a roommate with someone in New York City, like, you'd be lucky if you saw them every day, because New York City was so massive. But it's a very cold city, and it is April, and it should be spring right now, but it is still like 30 degrees here in Buffalo. Maybe when I get those 5 million subscribers, I can afford to move to somewhere warmer. But I like, going back to Michael Numbers, speaking about the attire, I really like this look. The way Shawn Michaels looks here in WrestleMania 2000, I just love his look. It's slightly different in WWF No Mercy, but I like this look a lot. With the ponytail and the DX symbols and the heartbreak tights. Like, I really like his outfit from WrestleMania 14 a lot. And it's fitting that I'm playing as Stone Cold, I guess. Maybe I can recreate the kick counter that I've been able to do a few times during this run. Into the stunner. That'd be the best way to end it. Perfect timing too, because it's 2:52. And I'll be ending my stream at 3 o'clock. We forgot about the U.S. title match. Yes, the U.S. title match. Mahal is the new U.S. title champion, and Rusev Day was denied. I think, there's money in the chase. There's money in the chase. My heart wanted Rusev to win, but my brain was kind of telling me Jinder was gonna win, because I think, they kind of failed with the WWE Championship. And again, this is going back to the whole like Naito Roman Reigns comparison. It's like, okay, they realized the thing with Jinder didn't quite work out with the WWE Championship. But now let's see if we can just put him over here, let him do his thing, and maybe make something out of it. I think that Rusev is gonna chase. I think the feud will be Rusev and Jinder Mahal. So, I'm not worried about Rusev. And Rusev was already U.S. champion, so I'm not worried about him. I did want him to win, but I think that they're gonna go with Rusev to chase after the U.S. title. Here's Austin coming out with that sweet Smoking Skull belt. Look at that. I do like how the Smoking Skull belt looks in this game. It's really cool. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Give me a hell yeah. Awesome. Love it. Worth it. Took 3 streams. Worth it. Not too bad. Cutting a promo after you finish Road to WrestleMania. Winning the match almost the same way. I countered his punch. I wanted to counter the kick, but I countered the punch. So it was definitely a counter. But it would have been great if it was the spin kick counter. That would have been cool. Bam. Let's look at the stats. Finished. 87% win percentage. Not great. Not my best. Singles percentage 85, tag 91, 50 I can't speak. 51 wins, 4 losses, 3 DQs. I'm guessing those are all the times that I counted myself out. Could have swore it was more than that. I won the WWF title. I did not end as the tag team champion. So we're going to have to revisit Road to WrestleMania. Because I feel like I could have done better. I could have done better with the stats here. I did a clean sweep in Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, 100% there, and I just did not do that for WrestleMania 2000, so I want to go back and do 100% run WrestleMania 2000, Road to WrestleMania. I love these end credits, though, by the way. Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 and WrestleMania 2000 share similar end credits. I think this is really cool with people doing their taunts with the credits. That's really fun. Better than just the scrolling credits we get in Revenge and in No Mercy. Here we get to see the characters doing their little taunts. I think it's cool. When will I come back on YouTube? This week. This week I'll have stuff. It was really busy last week for me behind the scenes because I was working on stuff, but you know, I was the past couple of weeks I've been trying to get into this Twitch schedule, and the Twitch schedule has kind of thrown me off because, you know, before in January, February, the time that I'm streaming, like right now, I was working on my YouTube stuff. And then I was like trying to figure out like, okay, well, when can I work on my Twitch stuff? So then I decided to start streaming during the day with Twitch, but then that started eating into my YouTube stuff. So now it's like sort of like trying to readjust and like for the evening time do some stuff for YouTube. But last week, especially, you know, last week over here was the Easter break, so my girls were off from school. So I wasn't finding a lot of time to work on my YouTube stuff because I was spending a lot of time with my family. You know, we were doing movie nights and stuff like that. But this week I'll be able to find way more time because now I've solidified my Twitch streaming schedule. So I know what hours I'm streaming. So I know what hours I have to work on my YouTube stuff and to work around other stuff I got going on. So expect definitely more YouTube videos this week. I'll even be uploading stuff on my other YouTube channel, my regular Be Better Gamer Proper channel. But yeah, all that stuff, like I have everything pretty much almost completed. All the stuff that I've been meaning to get up the past couple of weeks it's all almost done, and I'm going to use that to just sort of catapult me into a schedule, and hopefully within the next, you know, 30 days, I want to say, you'll start to see a more consistent schedule because I do know now how many hours I'm putting into Twitch and how many hours and what I'm putting into YouTube. You want me to upload videos on Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, a G1 Climax tournament? I already have a couple of G1 Climax tournament videos on my channel. But yeah, I plan on doing another one because I love playing League mode in Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. And I actually had a few different ideas of how to do a G1 Climax tournament for this go around. So you'll definitely see another G1 Climax video because I love doing the G1 Climax stuff. I already have a couple of videos on my channel about the G1 Climax, but it's one of my favorite times of the year. One of my favorite times of the year. Thank you. I'm excited for the Tanahashi. Yeah, you have a good afternoon. Have a good night. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for staying up late. I hope I don't keep you up too past your bedtime, but yeah, get some rest. Enjoy it. And tomorrow I'll be here again tomorrow talking still more WrestleMania and stuff. Michael Numbers, the Smoking Skull belt is in No Mercy. That's right. It is. It is, isn't it? If you win as Austin, it shows up right in his picture. So they did keep it in No Mercy. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. Very cool belt, I think. Very cool design. You know, they've done it over the years with a few people. Obviously, the most notable, you know, Smoking Skull and probably the Cena belts are the most notable. But The Rock had his own custom belt. JBL had his own custom belt. Yeah, good night. Take it easy, Sachin. Good night. Enjoy it. Great talking about WrestleMania. Look at Briscoe and Pat Patterson. The Stooges. But perfect timing. Perfect timing. It is 3 o'clock on the dot. The credits are wrapping up. I really enjoyed talking about WrestleMania with you all. Obviously, there's still so much more to talk about. There will always be stuff to talk about with wrestling, right? That's the great part of it. So tomorrow we'll pick it up. Tomorrow I will be playing Day of Reckoning, the first non-Aki game that I will be playing for either Twitch or for Twitch. Non-Aki wrestling game, I should say. And I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I will be playing it blind. I have not played it at all. I think I fumbled through the menus, but I haven't played a match. I think tonight I will look up, all the different unlockables and stuff, and that'll be sort of the that'll sort of be my path with Day of Reckoning. I will, go through the career mode or whatever they have in there, and I will try to unlock stuff. And I'm excited to see how that goes, because I've heard a lot of comparisons to the Aki games with Day of Reckoning, so I'm going to work my way through Day of Reckoning 1, and then I'll work my way through Day of Reckoning 2, and if it ends up being a very large amount of stuff to do and unlock, I'll try not to spend too much time on it, but it looks like I'll be playing Day of Reckoning for the rest of this week, and then maybe even next week, to really I want to really give it some time to learn all the little ins and outs and stuff, and I hope it doesn't take me too long to get adjusted to the different style of play. But I'm really excited for that. So again, thank you, Michael Numbers, thank you, Sachin, for joining me, and everyone else who stopped by. If you came in through, I really appreciate it. But yeah, we'll pick it back up tomorrow, same time, same place. New game, gonna be exciting. Yeah, thank you so much, and let's see what they have in store for us on Raw tonight. I'll watch Ring of Honor as well, hopefully I'll get around to watching it, and I'm excited. So thank you, take care, until tomorrow. I'm Be Better Gamer. Keep watching all the wrestling. Bye bye, everyone.